to order on the special public hearing for property taxes. Let's stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll, please.
Councilmember Ray? Here. Dalby?
Here.
Armstrong?
Here.
Davis? Here. Stones?
Present.
Lane?
Here.
Mayor Richardson?
Present. So we have a public hearing tonight on the proposed property tax levy. Comments tonight should be particularly on that particular levy and where we are right now. City Clerk Jackie Rafferty, would you please give a short introduction?
Awesome. Thanks for breaking stuff. I know you're getting old, but you better go like this. Come on in, there's seats. In this current fiscal year, FY26, we have a tax rate of $13.43 and revenues of $9.5 million. The effective tax rate is the amount that the city would levy if we were to get the same tax dollars in our next fiscal year, FY27, as in FY26. This would not provide enough money to cover the increased cost of goods and services. Therefore, our proposed tax rate is $13.43 again, and revenues of $10.9 million. Overall, the general fund spending is slightly lower than the current year, even though we budgeted for the inflationary measures, certain one-time expenses, and step increases for both union and non-union employees. On the levy hearing that the state sends out, they mandate that we have a hypothetical example on the property tax notice, and that should show a 10% increase in the assessed valuation, and the rollback amount stays the same. The state did actually change the rollback for this year from 47.43% of the home's value to 44.53%. That decreases the taxable valuation of residential property. This is set by the state and is out of the city's control. 2025 was also an assessment year. The county assessors reassess the value of all properties across the state. Depending on this reassessment value, property taxes may or may not increase by the example shown on the property tax notice. Our proposed tax rate was $13.43. That's a revenue or property tax revenue increase of 3.3%. This was due to a projection of health, dental, and liability insurance increases and borrowing for capital equipment. Earlier in March, the council directed health insurance premiums remain flat, and that's actually going to lower our employee benefit levy and overall levy amount by about 10 cents. So our proposed tax levy rate when we do the budget adoption hearing will be closer to 13.33 cents. The next steps, on April 6th, we will hold a public hearing. We'll set a public hearing for April 20th regarding the adoption of the fiscal year 27 budget. We're also going to hold public hearings and consider resolutions regarding borrowing in FY27. And then on April 20th, we'll adopt the budget and have a public hearing and then adopt the fee schedule.
Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this topic? And if so, please
Open
come.
the public hearing.
I'm sorry, we need to order that. That's correct. So I take a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis? Aye. Stones?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
We are in the public hearing, so anyone wishing to speak on the topic of the tax rate, please come forward, give your name and address. If it's, try to limit the presentations. If there are people here that wish to speak, I do have one person for sure that wants to speak. If there's anybody else that would like to come up first, then please do so. Amy, are you in the room now?
Yep.
Okay, would you like to speak, please?
I guess I'm the only one.
So far.
First of all, just want to say thank you to all of you. I know these are civic positions and that you are
Excuse me,
serving.
would you give your name and address, please?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jamie Hansen, 1004 Somerset Place,
Thank you.
Indianola. Again, thank you, all of you. I know that these are civic positions and you're serving and giving your time. So I also am just a citizen who was inspired to come. I do understand it was a little bit confusing, and I just want to share that with you. You have some other hearings tonight. I do have a question about right now, but if there's anything you guys could do to maybe encourage, I think it's maybe a little intimidating to not understand where you're supposed to speak. So if you have them later, and then this one now needs to be limited, it'd be nice if they were maybe more together, or if that was more explained to the public. You want to do whatever you can to make people give you their opinions in a respectful way. I think the main thing that I want to have everyone focus on, since it sounds like later on tonight we're looking at some debt I want related to the tax levy. Will the tax levy be impacted by the debt being discussed later tonight? I want everybody to think about that. And maybe most importantly, do we know now if the debt levy will go up in FY28, even if it's holding steady for FY27? Do we know that? Do we know if it's going to go up in FY28? If we know that, then I really think I and other citizens would encourage you to do your research, keep asking the questions, get the answers. Because I don't want to hear that in FY28. What do you mean by research? Keeping it to right here, probably making sure that we are comparable with using data with cities that are comparable to us. So not Des Moines, not West Des Moines, not Johnston. I think a lot of people believe that. Just wanted to put that out there. And then this one's a tough one, but I do think it's important to put things out on the table since it's not decided till the end of the month. That last year, I know FY26, the step increases were taken out. I think that has to be on the table with all that we're talking about. Step increases, COLAs. A lot of employers in this town aren't giving COLAs. It has to be there. I understand with the unions, it might not be, but you might have some non-union savings. There also could be negotiation with the unions. Anyways, I'm not here to decide that. I do think it's for all of you to keep on the table. Nothing should be off the table. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that wishes to speak?
Steve, this is about this, right?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Joni Estes, and I live at 401 North 8th Street. I think it's just over by Emerson. So I didn't have a lot of time to do any research on this, but I just looked at the back of the letters that we all got, and I'm sitting here going, okay. So it gives a hypothetical example, one on a residential property and one on a commercial property, right? And it's got, first off, it automatically tells us that they'll probably raise our property values by 10% because the example was 100,000 to 110,000 in the calculation, right? So that's one way you raise money. And then the second thing it says is it's got the school, they want a little over 2% more, and the city wants a little over 3%, 3.3% more on residential. But then on the commercial, it really goes up. They're really hitting them. Like on the school, it goes up to 9.6, and the city, it goes up to almost 11%. And I will agree with her on one thing that I've noticed. I am a health insurance agent, and I travel in the, well, I used to travel all over Iowa. Now I basically do the Metroplex. I get around other agents, and they are from like, Ankeny and West Des Moines, and they'll say, well, where are you from? Well, I'm from Indianola. Oh, you're from down there. And I really don't like that, and it's like, so you think about, okay, what attracts people to Indianola? Well, you put money in the schools, right? You're thinking that will bring more people here. We don't have a pool. I mean, it's like, okay, there wasn't enough room there for the pool. Okay, and then I even ran into, this was like in the last 10 days, a company who's in Ankeny, and they are based out of Florida. I can tell you that much without any more. But anyway, they want to move approximately like a half a mile south to get into the industrial boulevard where they think there'll be more Yeah, they've got 35 and they got 80 crossing there, but it was the atmosphere that they wanted. And it was like, so what have we done to build up our business community atmosphere that would draw them? Because if we get the businesses here and then we get the jobs here, then the people will come and then our schools will be built up and we won't have a problem. I mean, it's just, I don't think we've done any, I mean, we got, what is that, 15th Street out there? It looks old, outdated. I don't know what we can do to help it look more advantageous, but these companies are coming here. They're coming from Florida. And what do we have to offer? Well, we can make it a little less. So why don't we concentrate on that? I'm here to encourage you to say, okay, maybe we're not Waukee, maybe we're not Ankeny, but we're Indianola. We're I-Town, okay? We can do for you less than for what they can do. And that's what I was kind of wanting to get across. And the other thing is, well, I'm not real happy about the 10% increase on the value of the property. I understand what you're doing there, because you have to keep within the, what is it, the leverages of.
Joni, the assessment is by the county, that's not by the city. We don't do that.
No, but you're taking advantage of it.
Well, that's something we have no control over what the assessor does. So that's something that if you have a 10% increase in your value, that you appeal that to the county assessor and you can work through that process. And so we have a valuation and we don't have any control over what the assessor sets that at. And I will tell you the form that you got as well is very difficult to read, as you noticed.
Yes.
And what I will tell you is every single property in the community is different in the sense that there's no two properties the same. Your house and my house, they were built about the same time. You know, your house may be more expensive or my house may be more expensive. And those are the things we've got to keep in mind, that we're assessed differently and it really has no rhyme or reason.
Well, yeah, it does.
Well, it does.
I mean, you put in a lot of money into your home and probably bought it for a lot less, and ours hasn't changed hands. So I'm paying taxes on unrealized gains, whereas yours is worth that much. Mine shouldn't be worth as much as yours.
Well, I don't, that's not for me to decide or any of us up here to decide that as well. So, but the point is that your taxes, your individual taxes on each of the individual piece of property can vary differently and greatly. My taxes actually went down last year because for whatever reason they did. Maybe I didn't have the assessment that others did. And the other thing you got to keep in mind too is that if you have an escrow account, you owe money on your property and a mortgage, your home insurance is probably a large percentage of what you're seeing an increase. Might now pay more in home insurance than I do for property taxes, personally. Mm-hmm. So those are some things you got to keep in mind too. I'm not trying to devalue what you're saying here, but I'm just saying that.
I'll end with this.
Okay.
I want to encourage you also, and this is a thought that crossed my mind this afternoon. All right, we as employees of companies and entrepreneurs, we're being told that AI is the big new thing and it's going to replace us. Well, here's an opportunity. Instead of figuring out how to raise that much money in order to cover, I would assume, the administrative costs for the city and the school, right?
No, it's a whole, the budget covers a lot of things, Joni. It covers not only police, fire, EMTs.
Right.
It covers all of the.
Those are people. But yet we're being told that AI is going to take our place because it can perform certain duties. Is there any way?
But you also have to buy the equipment to maintain and run those things.
But in the long run, will we be stopping a 2 or 3% raise that the state's capped you on?
I'm sorry, say that again.
So if we invested in some of the equipment that it would need to use AI, in the long run, would that stop the annual 2 to 3% increase that the state's capped you on that we can't raise anyway?
They haven't capped us yet.
But they're thinking about it.
They're thinking about it.
Right. I just want to encourage you to look at that as another example is where can you get the money? Because that's the idea, right?
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on this topic? We're sitting here, if somebody else would like to speak, a couple of issues. Jackie, we're setting the max, or the idea is to set the maximum, is that correct?
This was the maximum that we could set the property tax levy at.
1343, correct? Mm-hmm. And it looks like we may be under that. Mm-hmm. Okay, but we just have to set the maximum.
We don't actually take any action on it.
Not right, but that's what we're proposing is the maximum of 13%.
We can't go up, but we can't
Can't
go
go
down.
up, but we can go down, but we can't go up. Correct. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak on this topic? I don't want to cut anyone off.
I think a lot of it's later on.
Yeah.
Specific.
Yeah. Okay. We're required by the state to hold the meeting open for 15 minutes, so we're at 6:15. So if there's nobody else who wishes to speak on this topic, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. I take a motion to do so. Motion second? Yes. Okay.
Councilmember Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Sones? Aye. Lane?
Aye.
Raid?
Aye.
Okay. We will move on to the other portion of our,
This one.
yeah, we have to adjourn. Motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Second.
Clerk?
Councilmember Raid?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis? Aye. Sones?
Aye.
Lane?
Public hearing is closed. I will call the April 6th City Council meeting to order. It's 6:15 PM, 6:16 PM. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Raid?
Aye. Here.
Armstrong?
Here.
Davis?
Here.
Sones?
Present.
Lane? Mayor?
Okay, a couple of quick comments here, and then we'll move into the public comment section. If you have something that's other than on the agenda tonight, you may come up and speak on that topic. There is a form we would like to have you fill out, or at least give your name and address if you could. You're going to be limited to about 3 to 5 minutes. If you do speak on something other than what's on the agenda, if it's on the agenda, you can wait until that time, and we'll have opportunities to speak at that point in time. Couple of quick points. I want to thank Ron for running the meeting. I was not available. I was on vacation. Thank you very much for doing that. Is there anyone that wishes to speak in public comment? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Jake, you want to run through the consent agenda, please, and we'll go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. First three items, A, approval of the agenda, B, claims, C, approval of prior minutes. Jumping in with D, setting dates for future public hearings. Number one is a resolution setting a public hearing on April 20th, 2026 at 6 PM regarding the fiscal year 27 budget. This is a required public hearing on the FY 27 budget. Number two is a resolution setting a public hearing for complaints filed on tobacco sales permit violations for Casey Store number 3512 from May 18th, 2026 at 6 PM. Tobacco compliance check violation is necessitating a public hearing. The permit holder may either attend the public hearing or settle by completing an acknowledgement/settlement agreement and paying a $300 civil penalty. That is the same scenario for item 3, which is setting a public hearing for a different location. Again, they can go through the public hearing process, or they may go ahead and settle by signing that acknowledgement settlement agreement and paying a $300 civil penalty. Item E, approval of applications. E1, consideration of the approval of a liquor license renewal for Walmart. Their permit is set to expire on May 14th. Staff have reviewed their application as well as inspected the premises. Item 2, consideration of the approval of a liquor license renewal, doing business as B&M Liquor. This is a permit that's set to expire on April 20th. Similarly, staff have reviewed the application and inspected the premises. Item F, resolution accepting public improvements and a 4-year maintenance bond for Kentucky Ridge ditch improvements, sanitary sewer and storm sewer installation. This infrastructure has been operating for over the past year with no issues. Staff and our contracted city engineer have performed an inspection and found 2 punch list items that we followed up on for remedy. Staff does recommend moving forward with accepting the infrastructure. Item G, resolution determining the water resource recovery department property as surplus and authorizing the sale of said property. This would declare scrap metal as surplus and allow staff to go ahead and dispose of that. This will likely become an annual item that will bring forward for streets and wastewater in the future to allow them to dispose of scrap metal. Item H, resolution approving an addendum to contract with Midwest Armed Services. This is adding extinguishers for inspection at a number of locations to our list. This increased cost is minimal and is included within budgeted funds. Item I, resolution authorizing notification of violations of Chapter 96 of the Indianola Iowa Code of Ordinances. This will allow staff to send a letter notifying of a violation of the sanitary sewer code for a broken sewer service. We will likely look at a code change in the future to allow this to be done administratively, potentially with a appeal process based on legal's guidance. Right now, the code does require council approval to make a notification on a sanitary sewer failure. Item J is a resolution authorizing the city to enter into an engagement with MGT Impact Solutions for Public Works Director Recruitment Services. Staff recommends working with MGT on the Public Works Director recruitment to facilitate attracting a strong candidate pool. The cost for the proposal would be covered through the salary savings of the vacant position. Item K is a resolution approving salaries. This includes an increase for a union contract and some hiring of seasonal and part-time staff.
Thank you. Are there any items that need to be pulled from the consent agenda?
Questions on item G?
Okay.
Are all of these items scrap, or can any of them be sold to other cities?
They're scrap. Mostly it's copper, old copper wire.
Should make a decent amount on that then. Thank you.
Mhm.
I have one, J.
Okay.
Question, have we used them in the past
Yes.
for this same position, right?
Not for this position.
Not for this position, just in the past for others. Okay,
We use it for other positions.
okay, that was my question. Thank you.
Any other questions? Take a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis? Aye. Sones?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Any council committee reports?
I just wanted to report on the local leaders day at the Capitol. I didn't mention that last
right.
meeting. I was up there and the mayor and I met with Representative Bowden while we were there, which was a productive conversation. It was nice of her to step out of the chamber. It was pretty hectic. She was in the middle of voting on several bills as we were meeting, so it was running back and forth. But we did have a nice conversation with her on some of the bills that affect us, and I've continued conversation with her since then, especially on the tax reform bill. So continuing to talk about how that impacts us.
Anything else? I do have some Mayor's Youth Council students here, so if you would stand, please, and introduce yourselves. And
Hi, I'm Gabe Gibson. I'm a senior at the high school. I'm the president of Mayor's Youth Council.
I'm Carly Budding. I'm a junior at Indianola High School. I'm Riley Holmes. I'm a junior at Indianola High School. I'm Kirsten Lacer, and I'm a freshman at Indianola.
And is there anything you'd like the council to know from any of you?
We're working on a project right now called Bike Fest. That's going to be held in June, early June, where we're going to be supporting the youth in their education on bike safety. So we're working on that event right now, looking for donations from the community. So if you know anyone, make them aware of the situation and do what you can for our committee.
You should talk to the some of the staff and council members here about maybe doing a bike race too, so that'd be a good idea. So, yeah. Also, we are looking at, what else are we looking at besides bicycles?
We're looking at scooters.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're going to rename the Bike Fest to Bike and Scooter Fest or something maybe a little more creative. But that's what we're looking at right now, is expanding, because we know not everyone uses bikes. Sometimes we see kids riding around on the sidewalks on electric scooters, and those seem to be a lot faster in some cases and also seem to be more dangerous. So we think that's important to teach you safety on that too and include that.
Thank you for doing that. What kind of donations are you looking for? Just monetary or?
Yeah, monetary at this point. We have many physical donations. We have water bottles and granola bars from Hy-Vee. The Warren County 4-H Extension Office is helping donate a bike that you sit on and pedal, and it makes smoothies out of it. So lots of interesting stuff like that. But right now what we're looking for is monetary to help us with the small, boring stuff that we have to take care of for the project.
Okay, awesome. you have a Venmo
Doug,
that you can share?
since Jamie's not here, is it through the Indianola Parks Foundation? Is that who we would send a donation to? Is that correct?
Foundation for their Get Better. They'll have all that information.
Okay. Okay. Get it out to everybody then. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We also have a lot of folks here from the family of Rodney Prickett. I have a proclamation here that I want to read, recognizing Rodney and his years of service here. Rodney Prickett, whereas Rodney Prickett began his service with Indianola Municipal Utilities in 1969 as summer help employee at the Water Department, and whereas following his graduation, he committed himself to full-time employment, beginning a career marked by dedication, professionalism, and a steadfast commitment to the citizens of Indianola. And whereas over the course of 45 years, Rodney faithfully served the community by helping to ensure safe, reliable, high-quality water service for generations of residents and businesses. And whereas his service was characterized by integrity, a strong work ethic, institutional knowledge, and a deep sense of responsibility to the community. And whereas Rodney retired in December 2014 after 45 years of exemplary public service. And whereas Rodney Prickett passed away on Wednesday, February 25th, 2026, leaving behind a legacy of dedication, service, and commitment to the city of Indianola. Now therefore it be proclaimed that the city of Indianola and Indianola Municipal Utilities do hereby express their sincere gratitude for Rodney Prickett's 45 years of dedicated service, honor his lasting contributions to the community, and extend their deepest appreciation for the impact he made on the citizens he faithfully served. In witness whereof, I unto set my hand and cause the seal of City of Indianola to be affixed this day, April 2026. And if the family would like to come forward, I know we'd like to get a picture if we can, so. Come on up here, up in front of the dais if you would.
Four of us?
We'll have the mayor and the two on one side of them.
You want me in the middle, I take it, huh? Of course.
Of course.
I'm gonna have you two.
This way a little bit?
Slide this way a little bit. I'm gonna have you hold this side and you can hold that side. How about that? Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Folks are welcome to stay. You're welcome to leave if you'd like to. That's okay with the family members. Thank you very much. Thanks, Doug.
Guess we're not as excited as we thought.
We have one other proclamation today. It's Local News Day. Whereas strong communities depend on strong local news and information to keep residents informed, connected, and prepared. And whereas local news organizations provide verified, independent reporting that helps residents make everyday decisions about schools, public safety, healthcare, small businesses, elections, and community events. And whereas access to trusted local news and information strengthens civic participation, supports transparency and accountability in government, and fosters a culture of informed citizenship. And whereas local journalists serve as essential members of our community, attending public meetings, covering emergencies, highlighting community achievements, and telling the stories that reflect who we are. And whereas Local News Day is a national day of action, connecting people with local, independent, and trusted news sources within their communities and encouraging residents to learn about, engage with, and support the newsrooms that serve them. And whereas participation in Local News Day provides an opportunity for residents, institutions, local governments to celebrate the value of local news and information through community events, public recognitions, and visible acts of support, therefore, I, Steve Richardson, Mayor of Indianola, do hereby proclaim April 9th, 2026 as Local News Day in the city of Indianola and encourage all residents to recognize the importance of trusted local news and information and to engage with the local news organizations that serve our community. In witness thereof, I have unto set my hand and caused the seal of Indianola of Iowa to be fixed this 6th day of April, 2006. Amy, do you want a picture?
I think you should.
Where's Mark when you need him?
At a time when I just saw in one of the news organizations, publications, there's what, 6 or 7, 8 local newspapers going out of business. And so appreciate everything you do. So thank you very much. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you, Amy.
Okay, a couple of items as far as community update and where I am. So Ron had the pleasure of running our council meeting. Last meeting, my wife and I took not a long, but a much needed vacation. So we spent 2 days as World War II nerds down at the World War II Museum in New Orleans. And on the trip down, had a good trip back. So appreciate that very much. A lot of things going on. If I can find my whole list here, Gabe kind of hit a couple items on the Mayor's Youth Council. You know, I don't know what we're going to call that. Somebody mentioned something Lollapalooza, whatever it was. I don't know.
Scootapalooza,
Like something like that. I don't know what it was. Anyway, all good stuff. We'll come up with a name and work on getting that moved forward. June 6th, Hillman Hall parking lot, 10 o'clock, I think it is. Is that when it gets started? Yep. So we usually give away a bicycle, the raffle off. We do a number of other things. There's a bike safety course. There's all kinds of other things that go on there. So it's a lot of good fun. So kids enjoy it, and had the pleasure of giving away some bikes last year, helmets too, and a number of other things. So Simpson Community Cleanup Day was well attended. Did a great job, even though there was a little bit rainy and didn't know what the weather was going to be. Then that was very nice. So next coffee with the mayor is May 6th. That's going to be at the local Vine with coffee by Crimson Anchor. They're joining together. 2 businesses are getting together to make that happen. 9 o'clock on May 6th. Alejandro's ribbon cutting is coming up, I believe, this week, if I'm not mistaken. No, it was last week. Last week, yep. We were there. I was there. So anyway, they're a food truck. They're going to be at different locations and at different events, and so that was nice. I also took part as part of an interview group that interviewed the next interviews for the next executive director for the Iowa League of Cities. Alan Kemp is retiring at the end of this year, and so we took part in that. I took part in that process as well. And as Councilmember Stones mentioned, took part in the League Day on the Hill. A lot of good conversations, and in fact, Jackie and I met with Representative Bowden again on Friday. Had a lot of good conversations on not only property taxes, but a few other bills that were in the legislative body. We did talk a little bit about the library bill. Talked about some of the things with some of the REINS Act that's out there that would require us to do a cost analysis if we just make a simple change in an ordinance, which I think is very limiting as far as what we can do and also very costly over a long time. So help reopen the National Balloon Museum is April 11th from 9 to 3. If you want some time to put in and work to help to get the Balloon Museum up and running, that'd be great. Indianola Young Professionals Putt Putt and Pints is April 11th as well at 11 to 5. Also April 11th, the Noon Lions 6th annual meat raffle will take place. Is that at the Catholic Church? I think it is, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. Okay. Also April 12th, Mug Day at West Hill Brewery. Let's see, what else have I got here? I think I will be at the American Legion on Tuesday, April 7th. Tomorrow I've been invited in to speak to that group. And I believe that's all I've got on community updates. So a lot of things going on.
Can I add one to that?
You absolutely can, be glad to have it.
I was just gonna say, check Indianola downtown Main Street. Their socials, they released a lot of their summer activities.
Yes,
So, and they're out on Facebook now, so I would definitely check them out.
we'll try to get those on the next roundup here, so.
There's a big old list, so I thought I'd
Yeah,
just.
there's a big old list, there is.
Food truck,
Yeah, I think the, right,
June,
June 5th, yeah,
And then
Yeah.
June 12th is the Downtown Chamber Concert Series.
yeah. So we got a lot of stuff coming on in June as well, so. A lot of exciting things going on, so. All right, we'll move into old business. Discussion and direction regarding recycling and brush facility fees. I'm gonna guess that would be you.
This is me, yes. Probably with some help from Jackie and Caleb. See if. Am I doing that, Jackie? Yeah, sweet. I'm going the right way. All right. We'll just run through a little bit of background information. We'll kind of get into the nitty gritty of it, where we'll talk a lot of numbers and math, which I'm sure is everyone's favorite topic. Just some history here. We've got February 2024. Staff proposed an increase in recycling fees to fund the spring and fall cleanup programs. It was previously coming out of the general fund. March 4th, 24, the fee ordinance was adopted. April 1st, it took effect. November 2024, the city expanded cleanup and recycling collection contract with Waste Management of Iowa to go and be extended through December 31st, 2028. And then in December of 2025, the annual recycling fee increase from $641 to $670 per customer went in based on the waste management contract, and then that is a fee that gets reviewed annually based on that contract. So again, this just goes to show the monthly increase in trash recycling fees per customer. So that 2025 rate, that was the $641, and then as previously mentioned, the 26 rate was the $670. This is a monthly fee, $5.88 for recycling, and then 82 cents for the fall and spring cleanup. This is just a very quick overview of the current fees that are charged out at the brush facility. So for a bag bundle of leaves and grass, it's $4. A bag bundle of trees and shrubs is $7. If you bring in a pickup truck load, it is $30. If you bring up a trailer load up to 14 feet, it is $35. And self-service mulch is free. And communicating with Caleb, the brush facility monitors that we have, they always try to charge the lowest amount. So they'll count the number of bags. They'll look if it's a pickup truck full. So really, the goal is to get folks out of there as cheap as possible in alignment with the fee schedule that we have up there. This is a little bit hard to see, but this is the brush facility budget summary. We'll specifically hone in on the FY27 proposed budget. So if you look in green, you'll see that we have two primary revenue sources that fund the brush facility. We estimate $36,000 in brush facility fees. That'll be what is collected through folks bringing out pickup trucks, trailers full, bags, bundles, all of that. The remainder of that budget does come in from the recycling, $73,400. As you'll see, if you look all the way down to the bottom line, the total brush facility revenue is estimated at $109,400.
can you see that? I'm sorry, can we interrupt?
Yeah.
There's a glare on this screen, so we can't see half of it. Much better.
You guys still see that?
Fine. I mean, I can kind of see it.
Catch a corner of it.
Younger eyes.
So really the bottom line of it is that the brush facility, we try to have this be a break-even situation where it's balanced, where we project that our revenues coming in do cover our estimated expenses. And that's why we show in this budget that it's $109,400 coming in, $107,915 in expenses. The next slide will break down those expenses in a little bit more detail, and we'll try to separate this out between recycling to a certain extent as well as the brush facility. So what this slide does here is it looks at the brush facility side of it and then really considers funding the recycling or the cleanup out of the recycling fee. So when we show this, we show that we have $36,000 of revenue in the brush facility fees, which we talked about on the last slide. And then as far as the expenses go to operate the brush facility on an annual basis for FY27, we project that would be $47,915 in expenses. So the brush facility as a standalone item within this larger budget, we project it actually operates at a deficit of $11,915. We look then at the recycling fee side of things, and we show that we've got $73,400 being transferred in from the recycling fee revenue, and our spring and fall cleanup expense is about $60,000 per the contract with Waste Management. So what that shows is that we're actually running a $13,400 surplus on the spring and fall cleanup with those recycling fee revenues. So what that in fact does is then $11,915 of the recycling fee would actually be utilized to subsidize the operations of the brush facility to make sure that this budget as a whole is balanced. If you look at that on a percentage basis, that comes out to 24.9%. You could round up to 25% and essentially say that 1/4 of the brush facility operations are paid for by the recycling fee. So kind of coming full circle with the conversation, the recycling fee already is subsidizing the operations of the brush facility by 25% of its operating expense. So this slide is complicated, so I will try to walk through and explain what this is showing us. So what this slide is showing is how much we would have to raise or could potentially raise the recycling fee and what that would generate in revenue. So what we know is that there are 6,188 customer accounts contributing to the recycling fee within Indianola. An annual increase of 81 cents per customer or 7 cents per month yields an extra $5,000 in recycling fee revenue. So we basically look at this complicated table, and what it's showing is if we wanted to increase an extra $5,000, what does that look like in an increment? And that increment is 81 cents per month or per year, breaking down to 7 cents per month. If we wanted to fully eliminate the brush facility fees, which is the very bottom row there, we would have to increase the recycling fee by $5.66 annually per customer, or 47 cents per month. And then, of course, anything in between would be an option for council as well. So kind of to summarize it, the recycling fee is already subsidizing the operations of the brush facility at 25%. And ultimately what we can kind of get to at the end of this is that what council may want to do is target a specific subsidy percentage. So 25% is what we estimate today based on the revenues we're bringing in from both sides. Council could say we want to subsidize the recycling fee by, say you want to go to 50%. So the fee could be increased to subsidize it at a 50% rate, 25% is the rate today, all the way up to 100%. So those would be all options available to council if there is an interest in kind of deviating from the fees that we have today in the situation that we experience today. Ultimately with that, I would just note that we should remember that brush facility fees are essentially user fees. So when you are going out and paying your brush facility fee, it is charging the users of that facility. So it does follow a user fee model. And we should also note that some members of our community would pay the recycling fee, but they may not be users of the brush facility for various reasons. They might live in a HOA, they may have private landscaping, they may not be able to access the facility for some reason or another. So there are recycling customers who necessarily wouldn't be using the brush facility as well. So with that, certainly happy to answer any questions that council may have, but really just kind of leave it back on that discussion point of knowing that the recycling fee is subsidizing the brush facility at about 25%. Open up for council discussion if there's comfort with that level, if there's a desire to do more, and just kind of see where the discussion goes from there.
Do we know, Jake, how many households use the brush facility? Because I think when you go in there, you give your address or your name. Do we know, like, out of that 6,000, granted not all 6,000 of those recyclers are single-family homes, but is 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 homes using the brush facility on a yearly basis?
I say I've never logged the houses. Have you ever?
I keep track of the customers that does not. You have repeat customers throughout the year, so I couldn't accurately tell you how many houses. I can tell you how many people use the facility throughout the season.
What's that? Do you know that number?
If you give me 2 seconds, I'll pull up the spreadsheet. Sorry.
I love me a spreadsheet.
And I thank you for gathering this information. I had some constituents come and who use the facility on a regular basis, and when they take their truck, it's $30-some. So they were concerned with that increase and thought, well, it's at least worth looking at to see if we can do anything to lower the cost.
So, for the season, there were 3,010 paying customers.
But that could be repeated, is that correct?
Right.
There are most definitely repeat customers throughout the season. But there are 3,010 people that came in, paid the user fees throughout from April to the beginning of December.
It's too much math. I need I don't have a
Say about 18. About 18%.
I don't know if I necessarily have any direction now. I would like to, could you send that spreadsheet out then, Jake, so I could kind of review it as well as far as the numbers?
Can we share that spreadsheet?
Yeah, I can send it out.
No, I'm talking about the one. Oh. Your PowerPoint there, that's got, that one. That'd be perfect.
I'd like a chance to look at it more and talk to more people. I've had the same questions, but the other thing to consider is we have people who don't even recycle, so we're increasing the fee even more.
I've never been to the brush facility.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get more input from people that don't use and use.
Maybe just
I was gonna say one thing I would add, because I'm more in the camp of having it be a user-driven fee and not spreading it out. I think it's also too important to remember this isn't even a required thing for us to offer a brush facility. It's a perk, so the people who are using it, it's kind of why it's a user-driven thing, not to be spread out amongst everybody. So that's why I go that way. Because a lot of the other communities that surround us don't even have this. So if you want to throw that out there of it's not a required service, and as we continue to see things at the state level wanting us to kind of go more to the minimum aspect of things, long-term discussion, is this even a facility we even want to operate? Is it something that we want to continue to offer to the community? Is it something that we can sell the land to develop, or do we want to continue to operate it? And if we do, how do you want to function it then? User-driven fees or community-driven with like recycling rates? So I know our increase at the beginning, we were a little bit against the wall in terms of spring cleanup. So we had to make a pretty in the moment decision. And so, that can even be a thing that we talk about as well down the road when that, I think it was a 5-year contract, when that's up too. So I don't want to rule anything out, but I just want to say, we don't even have to offer a brush facility. And if we lower the fee from $4 to $3, are they still going to complain? Probably.
This might be a question for Caleb. Do you have information on those people, those 3,010 customers, what they bring in?
I do.
Awesome. My concern, like what you said, those are valid points. My concern is I do think it offers good things for the community because it helps keep things clean, right?
Right.
But I'm just wondering, that's why I ask, what I'm asking now is what are they bringing?
So
Sorry, I'm gonna spur on you.
throughout the season, 31,115 bags of leaves or yard waste were brought in.
I'm sorry, how many?
31,115 and a half.
That's a lot of leaves.
So you have been there.
Yeah, it was me.
I think we raked up that many on Saturday.
There was a lot of bags in that picture.
I thought, again, I'm just throwing this out too. You know, maybe if we can tell Caleb and staff what data we need to have, make a decision, just kind of leave things if we can, and maybe go along with what Jake was proposing this year, but then for the next fiscal year, have data to show really how many people in our community, you know, and that 3,010 number you gave us, people used, you said some of them are repeats, and I just don't know if there's a way to keep track of that down the road and figure that out.
It's handwritten receipts. So I guess I got all the receipts in a nice file cabinet drawer in my office. I guess I could
Well, I guess I'm not asking that. I just.
pull my hair out
That's a
going
good use of
through.
your time.
I'll volunteer to
Pretty sure
collate.
Jake would say it's
I
not.
like that.
I don't know if it's a great
Stephanie
use,
just
but-
said she'd volunteer to collate, so
I
there
love
you
that
go.
kind of thing.
Oh, and they're carbon copy receipts, so.
Even better.
Mayor and Council, maybe one additional data point that may be of interest. I just pulled up Metro Waste. They have a minimum charge for yard waste of $20. So when we look at our truckload of 30, we are, you know, their minimum is 20. So in theory, they could be a little bit cheaper than us, but also that would mean our residents are driving up to Metro Waste and back and probably burning, I would imagine, $10 or more of gas at this point to go there.
I did look at a lot of towns around here. There's not a lot that actually have a facility. I know Milo does, Carlisle does. There's it's pretty much just an empty lot that they allow people to come in and dump, and they hope that people don't misuse it. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and they're constantly cleaning up. But metro communities around us, there is not a brush facility really.
Is it something that we have the capability to offer to surrounding rural?
The way it is right now is purely meant for residents of the city of Indianola.
And that's, I mean, that's based off of, you know, the 15,000 that we paid for someone to run it. So we'd have to probably increase that if it was.
No, the only community I can think of off the top of my head that allows outside residents of the community to come and use their brush facility is Grinnell. They charge an increased rate for the outside of the city residents.
My mind goes to the figures of if people would use it outside of residents, we charge. That's where my mind goes, but.
Kind of just looking at the breakdown of this, and we look at, so the salaries and such that are paid for out there, those are our brush facility monitors. I believe it historically, Caleb, I think you told me this, that the DNR actually cracked down on the city at one point because of the illegal dumping that was happening out there. So that's what spurred the brush facility monitors, because of non-brush that was being dumped. So that was really a reactionary method to that. So that's why we have the expenses out there for the brush facility monitors. To my understanding, what's not accumulated or counted out there is Caleb's staff's time, who has to go out there and operate equipment to move things around. So that's coming out of a different bucket of money. And then ultimately you look down towards brush hauling and hauling yard waste. I think there's some grinding involved with that. So we open it up further. Those are likely expenses that we would see increase. Of course, if we opened it up, we can always track all of those data points and see, does the revenue make sense? But ultimately it kind of goes back to the story at the beginning that we're really just trying to run a break-even operation out there. It just becomes an amenity for the community that we're not certainly trying to get wealthy off of as a community, but we're also not trying to use additional pots to subsidize it further.
Is that something that with that, you know, we, like you said, getting more information, is that something that we can speak to the customers that use the facility? And what they use it for? Like, I don't know. I just, as someone that's never used it in my 12 years here, I'd be interested to see like what the perks that they.
Go out there on a Saturday.
Yeah.
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 Did that.
Yeah.
I've never been there. Like I'm dumb here when it comes like when people come out. I don't know. I've never been out there.
You're more than welcome to come out there on
Saturday?
any day that it's open. It's open Thursday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday.
It opens this Thursday.
It opens
April
this
9th.
Thursday.
Good plug.
I would suggest you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's perfect.
Melissa, does the landfill take yard waste?
They do. Or wait,
No.
the south, the one in Winterset does not take yard waste.
Okay.
It takes branches and logs, but it does not a brush. It will not take leaves or grass clippings.
Okay.
You have to take that, if you want to take that to a landfill where it to get turned into compost, you gotta go to Metro East.
Thanks, Caleb.
I might reach out to Caleb.
Okay, so council, what's your direction here for this? We've got a lot of public hearings here, so what's the direction you want to give staff on this to come and go forward?
I'd like to just see the Excel.
I would just like to take the spreadsheet back and take a look at it and see if any of them make sense. I mean, maybe to Steve's point, maybe it doesn't.
Yeah.
Can I just come back to next meeting and
Have time to.
We can give direction at the next meeting,
Okay. Okay.
if that's enough time for everyone.
Allison, are we okay with this? Don't have to do anything with it? Just move forward? Okay. All right, bring it back to the next meeting after you get the Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Item 2, old business, fiscal year 27 borrowing. We're going to enter into a public hearing regarding the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and the issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city hereunder not to exceed 1.9 million general obligation capital loan notes. I need a motion.
Can I speak to all of the public hearings before we open the first one?
All
Would that
righty.
be okay?
That'll work.
Okay. So tonight, the council is going to hold 4 different hearings on each of the different borrowing categories. The first one is for streets, and then we have public safety items, the IWC items, and then the last one is for the park and rec items. And then after that, after each hearing, the council can consider resolutions instituting the proceedings to take additional action. And then the last one is a resolution authorizing the issuance of notes and levying a tax for the payment thereof. That's the one that I would take to the county so that they would know to put it on the property taxes.
Jackie. So for the people in the audience that have an agenda, item number 1A, 1.9 million is for what? The police
The
department?
streets.
Streets, okay. And then item C will be for
Public safety
public safety, okay. And item E,
is the IWC items that would be repaid by TIF.
I'm sorry, what?
The IWC items that would be paid by TIF is the 2.5 million.
So that's a TIF item, that's E. And G then,
The 300,000 is for the park and rec and the pool items.
okay. Okay, so that's for the folks in the audience, okay.
These things, again, are all procedural. We'll still have future council meetings where the council would approve a preliminary official statements, approve the GO note purchase agreement to lock in the interest rate on financing, and then actually authorize the issuance of the bond. So again, these are the equipment that we are proposing that we borrow for over the next 3 years. The middle column shows the useful life for each of those items, and then the last column shows the actual age at time of replacement for the property in the city. The staff here makes sure that routine and preventative maintenance is performed so that the equipment reaches the useful life benchmarks and then potentially beyond as a non-frontline vehicle. Keeping equipment as a frontline vehicle beyond its useful life often means a transition from routine and preventative maintenance that we budget for to unpredictable and high-cost repairs. This increases the risks regarding safety, reliability, and predictable maintenance costs. When there are unpredictable repairs, crucial equipment spends weeks in the shop instead of being out on the road performing public safety and public works duties. The cost of repairs outside of routine and preventative maintenance is not budgeted. The limited amount of reserves on hand will need to be used to pay for any of those repairs. Staff considers mileage, wear and tear, reliability, idle hours, maintenance costs, and age when recommending a vehicle for replacement. Some vehicles will go into reserve status. They might be used by another department or others in that same department. Or some may be determined to be surplus by the council and then sold or traded in on new purchase. The council does have options tonight. There's 3 that I've identified. The first one is to borrow for all equipment and make the purchases over 3 years. This would have an impact on our debt levy. For FY28, it would be between 43 and 50 cents on the debt levy, but the overall levy may not increase by this much. For example, you can look at this year's FY27. If we did this borrowing, it's going to increase the debt levy by 13 cents, but as you heard earlier tonight, the overall levy will actually go down about 10 cents. So just because of state law and the ratcheting formulas, we don't know how much of an effect it'll have on the overall levy. If we do borrow for all equipment as recommended, the frontline vehicles will be operational and replaced on schedule. Essential daily needs of our community will continue to be met. If the council chooses to borrow for some equipment but not all, then we would again have up to 50 cents per thousand depending on the amount borrowed and the amortization schedule on the debt levy. And again, the overall levy may not increase by that much. The impact to our operations and community are that some frontline vehicles will be operational, but it does increase the risk of costly repairs, vehicles out of service indefinitely, and closure of facilities, and the use of reserves. If you do not borrow for any equipment, the debt levy will not be impacted at all. This does increase the risk of costly repairs, vehicles being out of service indefinitely, and closure of facilities, and the use of reserves. We're asking council to consider the pros and cons of increasing the debt levy for these capital items versus essential vehicles and equipment being unable to respond for calls for service. The council may consider borrowing for buildings in the future, but the funding of operational and capital equipment should take priority before the facilities. Borrowing for all equipment ensures that staff can continue to meet the essential daily needs of our community. We compared ourselves to the other metro communities, and Indianola has the next to lowest debt service levy and the lowest debt service revenue. Indianola's total debt obligation for FY26 is $7.5 million, but only about 13% or $1 million will actually be paid from the debt levy. The other remaining amount is paid from lost, user fees, and the TIF. Many cities use their debt levy consistently for projects and vehicles and equipment because their goal is to maintain a relatively flat debt levy and overall tax rate. The property taxes would only fluctuate for things outside of their city's control, like the rollback and ratcheting formulas set by the state and property valuations set by the county. So tonight we're recommending the approval of the resolutions instituting the proceedings to take additional action for all equipment and approval of a resolution authorizing the issuance and levying of the tax.
Okay, so what we'll move into is a public hearing regarding the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and the issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city hereunder for the $1.9 million for the streets department. Correct? Okay. I need a motion and a second.
So move. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Rabe?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Stones?
Aye.
Lane?
We are in a public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak on the item of the borrowing of $1.9 million for the street department? Go ahead.
If someone does. Jamie Hansen, 1004 Somerset Place.
Can you move the computer?
Yeah, should I?
Yes, I'm sorry.
I realized I might type on it.
Sorry, Amy.
One just thought broadly with this public hearing, I think it would be helpful. I mean, it really made sense. As soon as you got here, everyone was like streets, public safety, IWC, pool. I think because a lot of people are busy working in their lives, they might check this online. Should I go to the meeting? This is the most non-user friendly agenda I've seen, meaning I didn't know that A was streets just because it says 1.9. So I guess just a helpful suggestion, I would put public hearing related to streets, public safety, just so someone might know. And maybe I'm not aware of citizen stuff, but I wish this could have been earlier on. That also is going to make people less likely to come, as evidenced by I was the only one, at least at the first one. I don't know how many more people are going to speak. I do want to, and if I need to cut off my time, just cut off my time and I'll sit down and I'll come back and I'll do it at the second hearing. But I did want to do a shout out to the newspaper, because the reason I'm here tonight is because I was reading my newspaper, got my subscription, and something just struck me with it. I read some comments like, I don't like using debt to finance vehicles. I was like, I like that. I agree with that. I think that's generally not a great idea. But I've seen, there were quotes, we've cut the general fund to the bone. Have we? I don't know. That made me kind of think that's a really stark statement. I was kind of like, wow, I want to learn more. Have we really cut it to the bone? Do all of you sitting here say there is nothing more that we could cut? If we're saying that we can't finance it and we can only find a little bit, then the other quote was, we either do it this way or not. Seems like that's an option. Maybe not. Maybe we don't. There were three options there. I will say they seemed a little biased. If we could go back to the ones where there were three options, it was very much scare tactic, fear mongering about out of service. I think it is a fair thing to look at. It's not all or nothing. So being specific to the streets, and I will sit down. I think one thing I would say for that one, I'm believing that's going to be the dump trucks. Am I wrong? There would be a case where those I think are used primarily for snow removal, maybe 3 months out of the year, maybe 6 or 7 events. I think we outsource our major road projects and the small street repairs are done with pickup trucks. So is it fair to count those dump trucks on the same service schedule as what we're looking at by aging them out? So questions like that, I would like all of you to take into account. And then I have one more thought, but I'll sit back down in case somebody else. Thanks. Thank you.
Any other people who wish to speak on the issue of streets?
My name is Tony Welchel. I live at 1401 North 6th Street. I do think that there's a little bit of lack of information in this data to support the idea of early maintenance. It would help as a citizen to understand examples in the past, most recently, based on costs, when that's actually happened. You did have a graphic about lifetime usefulness versus when we're replacing it. It'd be nice to know in the cases where our use has exceeded the lifetime, what the cost of upkeep was in those circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Folks in the audience? With hearing none, I would take a motion to exit the public hearing. Motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Stones?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Reed? Aye. Selby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. We're now on a resolution instituting proceedings to take additional action for the issuance of not to exceed 1.9 million general obligation capital loan notes. Have a motion and a second.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Discussion.
One of my questions actually Jamie hit on, the dump trucks that we are proposing, were those 3-year dump truck, like the 3-month out of the year dump trucks? Or are those, what are we using those for?
I don't have any dump trucks that are just 3 months of the year. They're used when we need them. So where we're doing road repairs, we're using our 2 oldest tandem trucks, trying to not beat up on our newer equipment. But we haul rock, we haul with our single axle trucks, we haul rock with it to do the gravel roads and maintenance on them. We haul cold mix asphalt with them, we haul material with them. We are looking at getting a piece of equipment where they will also be used more often to pull a trailer. And with the proposed repairs to roads, we're looking at at some point having to get a larger pothole machine to haul asphalt, in which we will be using that to pull that, a single axle dump truck to pull that as well. So their usage is actually looking at going up. But they're of such necessity, and with the size of crew, that they do not get used as often as other larger cities. But they do not sit in the garage for 9 months of the year and just collect dust. They're used throughout the year.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question on?
Yep.
You said they're hauling rock for our gravel roads.
Yep, as we're maintaining the gravel roads, blading them, we'll haul about use one of our single axles and haul 8 tons of rock at a time to spread, and then use the blade to spread it out as needed.
Why are we hauling it versus the gravel contractor?
We're using, after we have the gravel contractor put the rock on in the spring and the fall, throughout the summer, we're making spot repairs about once every month, where we need to add a little bit of rock here, a little bit of rock there. We're calling our contractor in and having them sit there for 2 hours while we blade it, and then add 6 tons of rock is a costly expense.
I'm following you. You're just doing the spot.
Yeah, we're doing spot repairs once throughout the summer.
Caleb, how many miles of gravel road do we have in Indianola? Do you have just kind of off the top of your head?
We maintain roughly about 6.5 miles of gravel road between what we have and 2080 agreement with the Warren County.
Okay, thank you.
And some of it, we're making spot repairs like Plainview. We make spot repairs on that quite a bit, where it hasn't had dust control sprayed. It has become, about half the school buses go down it at the end of the day. Has become a major school bus road. And it's not built for that kind of traffic, so we're constantly trying to keep it at least halfway decent for the residents.
Any other questions on, for Caleb or any of the staff on this?
Do we know the mileage on our dump trucks?
Not off the top of my head, they're all, the ones that are needing, that are outlived their life are right now. They're in the, probably the 15 to 20,000 mile range.
No way.
The 15 to 20,000 mile range. The hours on them are getting higher. We're a smaller community, so mileage wise, we don't do a whole lot of miles, and we don't travel with them, the single axles outside of the town really to go haul material with them. So they're all city miles, but they're short trips here, short trips there. I could make round trips to East Iowa to gravel on East Iowa. You're only, every round trip back to the yard, you're looking at about 2 miles. While you might make 5 or 6 round trips, you only put 10, 12 miles on in a day.
But the maintenance on that is important too, to remember. More city travel, more short travel requires more maintenance.
We do all the internal maintenance that we are able to do, but the cost on repairs are getting higher and higher. And repairs are getting more expensive.
You're gonna have that maintenance on an old truck or a new truck?
We're not to have engine rebuilds on newer trucks. We're looking probably at an engine rebuild on one of them once it heads up to the shop here pretty soon.
What's that cost, Caleb, to replace an engine?
And the lower half, to rebuild the lower half, I believe the last time we did it was $25,000-$30,000.
Is that somewhere in town that does that?
That's an international dealership up in Altoona. Every time we got to take them up for brake work, it's $4,000 or $5,000.
Well, that's unbudgeted.
We can afford one of those per year.
An engine rebuild is over half the budget for maintenance for all equipment and all vehicles.
One engine rebuild is, you're saying half?
Over half.
Over half, thank
Over
you.
half. Jackie, can you put up the slide where you had the useful life? Right there. Because I might be missing, I quickly went down and I think there are 11 different lines there. And 8 of the 11 have already, they're either equal to or past their useful life. I think there are only 3 of those that are equal to or under.
Yes.
Useful life would be on all the equipment, not just Caleb's, but.
And another thing to keep in mind, so right now, to replace a dump truck with a whole setup for snowplow is 2 months to get the truck, 14 to 15 months to get the snowplow equipment on it. 15 to 17 months out. It used to be it was probably 12 to 15 months to get the truck and 2 months to get the snowplow equipment. That switched. The trucks you can get in 2 months now, snowplow equipment's 15 months. So even if you gave me the A-OK right this minute and I called the dealership up first thing tomorrow morning and told them, order them, we're gonna have trucks here in 2 months and we're not gonna be plowing with them next season. Which there's gonna be another year on all that equipment. Street sweeper is about a 12 to 16 month wait period. Track loader, that's the shortest one. I can probably call up and have one delivered within a week.
questions for Caleb or anyone else? I would, we have a motion on this already.
Oh, I have a question.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry, squirrel brain. For just the streets portion, obviously, we're saying this is all four or none, right? Is what we're being presented. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Good question.
So our only option is all or nothing.
There are three options.
Well, sorry, all or nothing, meaning like snowplow, street sweeper, track loader, we can't take one of those out. So like, that's what I mean when I ask that, is like,
But you did give us,
yes.
in the levy, you gave us three options.
Yes.
You could decide not to do streets, do police.
Yeah.
Fire.
I'm just talking about just street specific, not the that we have, those are there, but I just mean street specific. You can't take out track loader and include the other three. Like, it's just all four, right?
Well,
I mean, I suppose at the end of the day, if you did not, if something were to happen and you did not end up being able to order or obtain it, then you would have money left over in your bond referendum. But currently, the resolution is for the full amount. And you could potentially pay that back.
This is just setting the stage. This is setting a not to exceed limit.
Right. Right, so it's your max. So yes, could
Right.
you pull something out if, like, I don't know, you won the lottery or someone gifted a track loader? Yeah. So, you could. This is setting the maximum with the idea of doing all those things over a 3-year period, is my understanding as well. So could you ultimately pull those out? Yes.
I think the clarity of that is not right now, though.
Not right now. The
Not right now.
resolution pending before you is the not to exceed limit. So the 1.9 million is
the max.
the max.
But what we
That's the
actually
resolution.
borrow
Correct.
could change down the
Yeah, that'll
road.
be a-
Yes.
That's right.
Because I know what, there's been statements of like, my concern, there's been statements of, if we borrow that much, it doesn't mean we have to actually spend that. Okay, well, if we borrow it, you have to pay it back somehow, right? So just because we didn't spend it, it still has to be paid back and there's interest. So that's why I'm asking, like, I say, yes, all four. Now down the road, if we don't approve one, that means we don't spend it? Is that what we are stating?
Essentially a loan. I mean, if we take out the not to exceed amount, right, it is still that, and
Right.
it has to be paid back. Now, if you're not spending it, and I would defer,
We're not even there yet. This is just giving you authority to borrow. There'll be a process to actually borrow the money, either through a bank or the bond market down the road, and that's when the project list is finalized. Think of this as creating
That's
a
what-
menu,
that's
a
okay.
budgeting menu.
That's my
Right.
concern, is that project list, like, say I vote yes, and then we come down and we're like, oh, well, we already voted yes, so we have to take all four, we have to pay
Yeah.
it back. Like, I'm trying to understand that process, right?
this is a not to exceed amount.
At this point. I think if I remember, look at all of you because you heard about, look at Jake because I think it was he that said it. This list, because I think Melissa asked the question, this is like the bare bones list. So that these aren't things that, like, there could be additional things in there they could have put in. But these are the things they're recommending to us are the bottom line that they really need.
And that's where I think my concern is that, just having Caleb speak to that just now, that provided a lot more clarity for me of like the dump trucks. There is that, a lot of people, it wasn't just Jamie. I've heard a lot of people that I've had conversations with that, we use them out 3 months. Okay,
Right.
that wasn't the case, right? We got more information. So that's where I'm saying, okay, if we approve this, we do have time down the road to understand why I don't want useful life as just the only reason that I'm approving to take out money and increase everybody's taxes, right? That doesn't make any sense. That's not smart. So that's where I'm trying to understand is that we have this opportunity, say we vote yes, this is the max. It's then presented of, okay, this is why this is needed. If we don't feel that that's a good enough reason, we could still pick and choose certain things. And I'm understanding that correctly?
Correct. As Michael said, this is just setting the stage of, this is the not to exceed number. You're not actually borrowing anything at this point. And so each individual purchase, and Michael, I think each individual item would still come back through this process.
Okay, that makes sense. I just want more time for more information to be obtained for each item, if that is, you know.
One thing that's important to keep in mind is that the process for this is very statute run. And so in order to get to the next part, we have to do this part, right? And then to get to the next part. And so that's why, you know, in the last 3 meetings, we've keep going because it's very statute driven and we have to meet this part before we can move on to the next part.
And as legal, you understand, I just want it clearly stated.
Absolutely. Okay.
I'm gonna make a couple comments here. Staff works with these things every day. Caleb's point that one engine rebuild is half of his repair budget. And I don't think our staff takes it lightly when they ask us to put things on a budget and try to buy these things, because they know what the condition of those items are and what they need for their operations to be successful. The other thing I would suggest to us is that we still don't know what the state is going to do to our ability to borrow on anything in the future. And that may require a whole different process that becomes very cumbersome and very expensive in the long run for cities. And so I would just keep that in the back of your mind as we work through this entire process through the next couple of council meetings and go through this process. But again, I just want to make it clear that having talked with our staff and being out at our staffs and visiting their offices and shops, and they know what they need to do the bare bottom dollar, to Bob's point. And I think we just have to kind of keep that in mind too. I don't think they're asking for anything extraordinary.
No, and I'm not trying to insinuate that. I'm just saying they know what they need, like you said, right? So when we come to the taxpayers and we say, this is what we're doing, I want to be able, the whole thing I ran on was transparency, because I ran because I didn't understand everything a lot of the times. Like, I had to go research. So that's my whole thing is like, great, we approve that. I just want transparency of why, other than, you know, they do their job. I trust Caleb does his job, but hey, this is what Caleb's saying. This is why, like, that makes much more sense on the dump trucks. So that's what I'm trying to understand is that we just, there's nothing to hide. This is why it's needed. That's all. I just want to make sure we have time for that we don't just like backed up against the wall of like, vote yes on all of it. So I just want to have time.
So there's no other questions, then we've got a motion on the table. So clerk, would you call the roll on item B, please?
Councilman,
I'm sorry. I would just add that we're asking questions and challenging some of these things because we are being challenged by our constituents. They are the ones asking for lower property taxes and tax reform. So as the elected officials, we have to do our jobs and do that due diligence. So please be patient and know that we aren't necessarily questioning the staff and the job that you're doing. So understand that where we're coming from, we're receiving a lot of questions. I had 7 calls myself alone today, just asking questions on all the public hearings and the equipment, and just trying to understand it all. So the public does, I think some of them have concerns just with the levy and trying to understand what this list is going to do to their property tax bills. So
I can be difficult, but I'm not trying to be difficult on this, I promise.
Right.
You are. We're happy to get clarification for anybody that needs it.
If I may clarify one thing, Jackie, this is from your last presentation. I think this full list, if everything went through, if your home is valued at $300,000 and we estimate your property tax would potentially, at worst case scenario, go up $66 a year.
That's residential, right? I
Correct.
really, the commercial number scares me a little bit.
Right, and
Not
then,
gonna lie, I have a lot of friends in this town that own small businesses, and it was a pretty good increase.
I had,
You've also got to remember two things with that. Number one is I don't want to get into how the property taxes work, but one of the things is an exemption of $350,000 to small business as well, and there's a whole discussion in the legislature about that. So just keep those things in mind too.
Right.
Those are conversations you can have.
Yeah, definitely.
right, but when we have business owners who are struggling to make it right now, and they're one big expense away from closing, you have to think about what you're doing to them.
No doubt about it. Okay, got a resolution in front of us. We've got a motion. Let's, Jackie, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
No.
Davis?
Aye.
Stones?
No.
Lane?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-2. Well, I now move to a public hearing on public safety. Public hearing regarding the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and the issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city thereunder not to exceed $3.3 million in general obligation capital loan notes. Get a motion, or a motion to open the public hearing?
Moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Counselor, clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Stones?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Ray? Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Motion carries. So we are in a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on the issues of public safety items? Do we have a slide for that, Jackie? Okay,
Just the
recommendation. Okay. Anyone in the audience care to speak on public safety?
My name is Sandy, and it's Vopalka, Vopalka. And I'm at 601 West Salem.
Okay.
Thank you all for your help and work that you do for the city. My one concern is the flock cameras. And in my opinion, it does fall under public safety. And I've had folks say that they believe that the $26,000, which I know at this point is not what we're looking at for the budget, because there's going to, it's proposed that we take out 4 of our 12 cameras that we have in Indianola. My question is why do we need that many cameras when Norwalk has 4, Carlisle has 5? Why does Indianola have 12? Because that's what the number is, or excuse me, from the last look at it, it's down to 11. So I'm not sure that we actually had one removed or turned off or something. I know that we have the heroic story of the man with Alzheimer's from Missouri that we were able to, on the hot list, know that he was missing. I'm kind of surprised there weren't other cities in Missouri that didn't have the license plate readers, and it just happened to be here in Indianola. But I still think that $26,000 is enough money to pay for at least a staffer of the 12 staff that are being, full-time staff that are being, 7 full-time staff that are being eliminated in the city, the 12 part-time staffers that are being eliminated from the wellness center, the wellness campus. I just think that flock cameras are not the answer for the city of Indianola. There are about 1,000 of them in the state of Iowa, but yet the police have reports where they check things that they're checking thousands of cameras, 2,000 to 3,000 cameras. We don't even have that many in the state.
Sandy, I apologize here, but this is a public hearing on the of buying vehicles. It's not necessarily about flock cameras.
I'm sorry, as far as public safety, to me, that's where I took it. If it specifically says that it's for vehicles, then I apologize.
That's fine. I appreciate your comments, though, I really do, but I would like to keep it on the topic of
That, I apologize for.
Oh, you're fine. No, you're fine. I
That's
just
good
want-
information.
Yeah, it's all good information. We appreciate that. I would suggest you talk to Chief.
I'm
yeah,
going to have an
Hawkins.
appointment with him, but these are things that you as individuals of Indianola need to at least think about.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience have a comment on the loan for the vehicles that we're proposing in the city department and fire department?
Jamie Hansen. Again, I think it's kind of related. I think what this is bringing home for me is, yes, there are a lot of people with a lot of questions. This is a PR campaign for the city of Indianola. That's part of the reason I'm here, learning a lot. Everyone wants to learn a lot. A lot of people are home with kids, working, doing things. I'm just a small representation of some of those questions. So our representatives, I appreciate those. I wish more of you would ask questions. I think more what I want, even the fact that she spoke and it wasn't at the right one, if you guys could do more when you have a hearing to describe to people in writing somewhere about what it is they can give an opinion on. I think it's really intimidating and it's embarrassing to get up here and say something and be on the wrong topic, but I don't think it was very clear. I think I just want to leave with, I agree with what Melissa was saying. I'm not trying to question city staff. I've lived here 5 years. I had never heard that any of those were needed. It's weird that they came out as all at once, all or nothing, has to be this. Those just make people have questions. It seems like a lot of debt. That's what's happening tonight. That's a good thing. I wish more people could hear these answers. I think the main thing to get through is that I appreciate the attempt that there is a lot of significant work being taken by staff to balance the budget. But what brought me here was this article about that maybe we should consider reduction of our reliance on debt. If we talk through these things and we find out that, you know, this is what we need, or even what Caleb said about the dump trucks, a lot of times they're referred to as snowplows. So it's like that can go out in these articles before these meetings so people don't come here with misinformation. So make your PR case about why this is really needed. Don't make people come or make them ask and then have the staff have to explain it. You should know ahead of time, like a debate, that people are going to have questions. So give them the answers. And again, I guess with vehicles that do have a useful life of shorter than 20-year bond, maybe they shouldn't be financed. And again, if you could break it out, you know, looking at miles versus years or repair history versus a recommended replacement schedule, I agree that the list was stark. I don't know why it is concerning that those all came up at once. It seems like someone missed the boat. Like we should have been moving these out, but we might be in the boat now where we are. We can't go back. Anyways, again, just want to thank everyone. Again, I'm not coming here to criticize. I'm coming here to get answers, and that is my main thing.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else wish to speak on this particular topic? Hearing none, I would take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lane?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
Shelby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis? Aye. Sones?
Aye.
We are now then, can I have a resolution instituting the cities take additional action for the issuance of not to exceed $3.3 million general obligation capital loan notes, ECB 2.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ray?
Aye.
Shelby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
No.
Davis?
Sorry, did I miss that we're not talking about this one? We're just going straight to vote?
The resolution.
Bring up the resolution, then we'll talk about it.
Okay, you voted no and it scared me.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we just did the motion for the resolution.
Yeah, but Do we get
Yeah,
to
we're
talk
not
about it?
talking about it. We're just voting, I guess.
Then no.
Let me back up here, hold on a
Yeah,
second.
I wanna talk
We'll
about it.
bring this up so we can talk about it.
My apologies here. We'll back up. I want a motion to talk about the resolution exceeding, that's what we're on right now, is what my understanding is,
Yeah,
okay?
That's right.
Motion to talk about the resolution exceeding the proceedings. We're not actually voting on the resolution itself. We're
We don't
opening.
need a motion for that. We exited the public hearing.
All right,
Once you've exited public hearing, you guys can have a discussion on it, and then, I mean, you could go.
oh, no, we'll go back.
The resolution, or the motions and then
And then
discussion.
discussion.
It's a motion and discussion.
I feel
That's
like
what I thought we were doing.
discussion might change my vote, kind of like it
Yeah.
did when I talked to Caleb. So,
My mistake on this then.
I have questions.
Okay. So do you wanna, what do we need? What do we need to do, Allison?
Yeah. I think you could go ahead and do a motion to enter into discussion on the resolution.
That's what we're doing. Motion to enter into a discussion on the resolution. Okay,
Just for clarity.
Thank you.
clarity's sake, on the record.
okay. Take your vote.
Yes.
Okay.
I'd like to talk about it.
I think we should recall.
Yeah.
The, if you don't mind, the role for,
Okay, recall
I
it.
would recall the motion in general,
Yeah,
Okay,
because the motion
just
was,
to have the discussion.
okay.
Seconded it.
No, you're recalling your motion to approve
Okay.
the resolution,
Okay.
and now you guys can discuss it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm recalling that.
Okay.
We didn't take a vote on that? No?
I would take a motion to enter into discussion on
Okay.
the resolution.
Thank you.
And then I
Motion
would call the role for that.
Thank you. Okay.
I will make a motion to enter into discussion on the resolution.
And I second. Sorry, Jackie.
It's okay. Just because we're now so confused, it's just easier for the record to do that.
That's right. There we go. Okay, we have a motion? We have a
We
motion?
have a motion, they have a second.
Okay, let's vote on that then.
Councilmember Lane?
Aye.
Reed? Dolby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Sons?
Aye.
Thank you. Now we are into the discussion on the resolution.
Thank you.
That's what I thought we were doing in the first place, but that's okay.
I misunderstood. I took it as we were just voting and I was
All
like,
right.
No,
okay. So I do have questions. So in the past few meetings, we've talked about these vehicles, specifically the 4-year. I don't know if you, sorry, Jack, can you go back to the life? Sorry.
Okay.
So my question is on, I mean, I get the ambulances, fire, I mean, those, what we've said, those are already like a 4 to 5, there you are. Is that right? 4 to 5 years before we can get one?
Aaron Hurd, 110 North First Street. Yeah, the ambulances are about, we'd say, 24 to 30 months out, so they're not as far out as your fire apparatus are.
So we're already two years on that. Fire trucks are even more. Okay, those make sense on fire then.
And we need 3 ambulances?
Two.
2?
Chief, could you talk to how many times a day we have an ambulance running to Des Moines?
About 8 times a day on average is our ambulance run to Des Moines.
Could you also talk about the size of area that we cover as well?
Currently, we have 125 square miles, and so from the central to the city, about probably 7 minutes out emergent to the border, any direction. And then we got about a 18-mile trip, one way to Des Moines, so.
So our units get a lot of use.
They do get a lot of use, yeah. We're currently the 2016 is 190,000 miles, the 2018 is 180,000 miles. We do try to rotate them so that we're spreading it out, but still keeping like the newest ones fresh.
And also, I know this answer, but I'm asking for the benefit of everyone else. Mutual aid, can you share those numbers?
We looked to give you the accurate numbers again. The last time I looked, we had been provided mutual aid 28 times. We provided mutual aid to our surrounding communities about 5 times. I won't say it was all EMS, in some cases fire. We got, again, a larger population that we cover here. So when we don't have enough staff or units to cover the area, frequently we'll utilize Northern Warren comes in quite a bit, Milo. Hartford and Carlisle.
Those mutual aid calls, some of that's because we just don't have any ambulances that are functioning at the moment? Or is it just that we're too busy?
At times we have had that, yes. I wouldn't say that all the time it is that.
Yeah.
Sometimes we'll have a portion of our staff out on a fire. We'll have multiple medical alarms drop. We just don't have enough staff to support both the fire and the medical incidents.
Chief, on the bumper engine and water tender, what tends to be the mechanical issues you run into with those?
The pumper engines, so every year they have to go through an annual pump test. Essentially what you want to do is make sure that they've got enough pressure. They are protecting not only the firefighters' lives that are inside the burning structure, so you want to make sure that they don't fail. Those go through an annual test. The problem is the water that we use from the Jordan Aquifer is pretty caustic and eats away at a lot of the piping and the seals. And so, passing that annual test becomes pretty difficult. With that, just 20 years is a lot of age on a vehicle that's that heavy and goes through that type of use. Again, that NFPA life, that's the standard. And so when we're putting people's lives in front of that equipment to fight the fires, we want to make sure that we have dependable equipment. I think, should it fail, you're not necessarily held by, laws, but you're held by standards and, professional standards. So that's what we use to kind of guide our decisions on that. Not only that, but of course, I'd welcome anybody to come in here and we'll pull the apparatus out and walk around them, show them the issues with it. Certainly welcome at any time to do that. So.
Thank you.
Did I interrupt you? Were you going to ask a question?
I was going to ask a question.
I'm sorry.
The mutual aid numbers were, what period of time was that?
That was the first 2 months.
Okay.
And I can get you some updated numbers on where we're at, so you can see where we're at with that as far as the breakdown for calls.
How many ambulances did we usually run at one time?
At one time, it varies with the calls. We'll have 3 out pretty frequently at any given time. So of course we've got the 4th. As we get into the summer events, start staffing those events, that 4th is tied up. Usually we're maxed at our capacity with ambulance use in the summer months. But it varies. I can give you an overlap of the calls, show you the overlap.
Chief, what did we pay for we just got an ambulance this year. What was the cost of that ambulance?
$340,000 is the cost of the ambulance this year.
What have you been told on a new ambulance? What's the cost of that?
If we get one, if we were to purchase the next one on time, we're talking about $360,000. The PPI kind of spiked above the CPI, so we saw a pretty big influx in ambulance costs just because of the raw materials. We are starting to see those level out, and so I'm talking to the ambulance manufacturers, where it was about 5 to 6%. Now it's coming back down around the 4% area. So I anticipate that maybe it'll be there for maybe who knows how long, but.
What time frame is it to get a new ambulance in?
That's 24 to 30 months, so 2 years to just under 3 years to get an ambulance.
So if we do this, even though we are authorizing a new vehicle, that may not be in service for 2 years. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we'll be well over 200,000 miles by the time we reach that, which is, and again, some of those are already leaking fluids on the floor, have check engine lights on, so.
So you'll be at 8 years in some of those, is that right?
10 years probably.
Yeah.
We're already close to 8 years.
Steve, did I understand you earlier? I just want to make sure I did. When you talked about the State House and things might be even more difficult going forward.
One of the proposals and one of the pieces of legislation between the House, Senate, and the governor is that every opportunity to borrow money would have to go to a vote of the people. So you would have, which is okay, and I have no problem with letting the people make those decisions, but the costs involved are usually fairly extensive, and then you've got to go through a whole new entire process, and you may or may not get those done. Now nobody knows what we're going to end up with in the tax legislation. So you just got to keep in mind that may be a possibility There's also other kinds of possibilities too. To one of the speakers' comments about a 2% cap, you know, we don't know if that's going to be just a hard 2% cap on our growth of the community, and what some of the other requirements are with some of the other pieces of legislation that are there. So, you know, taken with House File 718 and also with the caps, you may not have any CPI or any kind of an index there allow you to get any kind of a value of what your actual costs are. Right now, what I know Melissa and I, when we talked to Representative Bowden, and again, when Jackie and I talked with her on Friday, you know, we're looking at increased costs for materials and just as you said, some of the things you're looking at too, anywhere from 6 to 20%, you know, depending on what it is. So,
yeah,
2% cap, you fall behind really quickly.
right.
I don't know if I answered your question or not.
Thanks.
I thought there was some good information in our packet about the police cruisers and the amount of wear and tear they get on the, sitting there idling. I mean, that might be some useful information for people that are questioning the purchase of new police cruisers, but I don't know if maybe Chief Hawkins could talk to that a bit.
Good evening, Mayor, members, council, Chief Hawkins. Open to any questions you may have.
Idling hours versus engine hours, you talked about that, or you gave us a spreadsheet on that. Can you kind of explain that for maybe folks in the audience here too, maybe?
Sure. So there's two sets of miles on our police cars. There's the engine idle hours, which is the amount of time that the vehicle is running, but not necessarily moving. And then you have the actual odometer hours on the vehicle. So doing some research, if you just do a quick Google search, you'll see about 1 hour of idle time will equal about 30 miles, give or take, on the odometer. So by the time you add the odometer or the actual miles on the vehicle plus the engine idle hours, that'll give you the combined wear and tear on the vehicles. And I don't have all the numbers in front of me, obviously, but I will highlight one that was in the PowerPoint that I prepared for dissemination to council. We have one of the patrol cars, car 211. I cannot remember the exact mileage, but it has 75,000-ish miles on the odometer. But it has, I can't remember, 14,000 plus engine idle hours. So that totaled over 400,000 miles of wear and tear on that engine. So as you can imagine, that car's running rough, but she's in full service, being used almost every single day. You know, so from a, you know, obviously a wear and tear standpoint, I'm not sure of how many people drive a vehicle with over 400,000 miles, especially going sometimes at high speeds, stop and go, rapid deceleration, stopping, turning, all the things that happen in a police life of a cruiser. So those are hard miles. It's a hard life. When the officers are on patrol, you know, if they're running radar, the car's running. If they're on a traffic stop, the car is running. If they're on a call, car is running. You know, if it's 19 below out, the car is running. Like if it's 102 out, the car is running. I will tell you that a lot of our older cars, the fan motors for the heating and cooling system stop working, and when you try to get them fixed, they never work the same. So in the summertime, our officers are wearing body armor and they're sweating to death inside their body armor because the fan just doesn't keep up. Same thing in the winter. Some of those vehicles are cold. So, you know, that's not a nice environment to come out here and do the job that our officers need to do. So that's just one example. So all of our vehicles, because we did not do vehicles this year, all of our vehicles will be pushed into a minimum 5-year rotation going forward because we did not do vehicles this year. So, you know, that cycle will continue at least through our existing fleet that we have. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I know it's been mentioned in the past few meetings, and I don't know if maybe we just haven't gotten the information yet, but my question is, have we looked, and maybe this is, just tell me if this needs to be a question later at the next meeting, but my question is more around why this amount? I feel like it's a pretty large amount for a police vehicle. Like, is there other options out there of why we're wanting this specific type?
It includes outfitting the vehicle. So we buy the vehicle and then outfit it to be a police vehicle. It includes that cost.
Okay, so that's everything all in.
Yep.
Includes the computers, the dash cameras, the back seats, the cages.
It's everything except for the computer
Oh, I'm
itself
sorry.
in the car.
Okay.
That was
But-
part of the.
Correct, but it's everything else, top lights, speakers, consoles, light bar, switches, rifle, shotgun mounts, the cage, the molding in the back, all of the electronics that make that happen, the actual upfit of that equipment in of itself, the detail, the graphics that are on the car, all of those type things.
And what are we looking at time-wise if you were to call tomorrow? Like, how soon do we get those? Pretty quickly, or
6 to 12 months.
6 to 12? Okay.
And lately it's been closer to the 12-month mark. Post-COVID, that's just how that is operated. So if we order a car tomorrow, it's probably 6 to 12 months ballpark.
And if I'm correct here, Chief, it's not exactly a Tahoe, right? We're going to put it out to RFP. It could be a Ford, it could be a Dodge. Whoever is the cheapest is what we're going to get, right? It may say Tahoe here, but if Tahoe's the cheapest, then it'll come back at Tahoe. So
That is correct, Councilman Dalby. In fact, the last year that we purchased a vehicle, most people would find this hard to believe, but the Chevrolet Tahoe was actually $1,000 cheaper than the Ford Explorer at that time.
It's also my understanding that Ford is no longer making the police Ford Explorer.
They are coming back, so we will certainly rebid them in this fiscal year if authorized to purchase vehicles, as we would do any other year. But when we made the decision to go to Tahoes, that was the determining factor. We were not able to get Ford Explorers. And then the last year that we purchased vehicles, we did have the option to get an Explorer, but it was actually $1,000 more expensive. So we stuck with the Tahoe.
You brought it up earlier, and I think it kind of gets to one of the points made earlier that the hard part in some of this is we're at the end of a 2 to 3 year journey here that has kind of got us to this point where we're looking at borrowing vehicles. But you made the point earlier that we're out of rotation on cruisers, right? Like we stopped because last year there was no money, no plan. We spent the last year working on the budget, balancing it, coming with a plan. We need to get back on some type of plan here now. And this is the culmination of that, right? Because you said 5 years.
Yes, sir. And the other part to that I want to share is that with the two vehicles that we purchased in FY #24, we actually held them back on purpose to kind of stretch and hold that divide together a little bit. And we just recently put the Chevy Silverado truck that people are seeing on the street. We've actually had that truck for quite some time. We actually held it back to try to plan and try to bridge this gap a little bit from a fleet perspective.
Thanks for reminding me. We did not buy any vehicles at all last year. And that was to Jamie's comments about lifetime and span and how we did that. So I think that's important to remember.
And along with those numbers, as we look at this chart, where it says police vehicles, useful life 4 years, age at the time of replacement 5, is that 5 years when we get it, or could that 5 years technically be 6 if it's a 6 to 12 month?
Potentially could end up
be a
being
6 year.
6. And
Yeah.
typically with the patrol vehicles, for example, our CSO is driving a vehicle that is 8 years old, as is one of our SROs.
Okay. Just want to make sure I understood those dates.
So the vehicles, we are
We can
advancing them
order.
beyond the useful life that is depicted on the screen. They do move down into more administrative roles, if you will. So we are continuing to use, and like I said, we have two vehicles that are 8 years old that are still being used every single day.
An SRO, school resource officer, just so anybody here doesn't know that. So
No, I lost my train of thought. Darn it. Never mind, I lost my train of thought. I'll email you when I think of it at 10 o'clock tonight. It's fine.
Mayor, if I may, just I think Councilmember Rabe's comments, I think just for context, probably for the audience more than council, just thinking about where we've been as a community, last year's budget, we used $830,000 in reserves to balance the general fund. This year, we're projecting $850,000 in reserves to balance the general fund, which included 0 vehicle or equipment purchases for this most recent year. That's $1.6 million over the last 2 years that we've used in reserves just to balance the general fund. So when we go back and we talk about the cuts that come forward in the April 20th budget, we've reduced that deficit from $850,000 down to $22,000, which is also including $112,000 of one-time expenses. So we actually have about $90,000 in ongoing revenues going forward from there. So, you know, if we had that $1.6 million that we've used to balance the general fund the last 2 years, that would go a long way towards this equipment plan that we brought forward. And when we talk about just the sense of the plan, the alternative that we have right now facing us is we just do nothing again for another year. And we let all these pieces of equipment get a year older. We kick the can down the road and we reconvene again next year and we ask ourselves, well, where does the money come from at that time? And right now, and again, I'm certainly open to other points of view, there's just nothing in the horizon that indicates that we're going to have the money next year. And essentially what will happen is all of these pieces of equipment will again age one more year. And when we talk about the mounting costs of maintenance, and Jackie maybe help me with this, because we've used that $1.6 million in reserves, we are $390,000 away from our 25% minimum. So we do not have an option to dip into reserves like that again. And if we see some of these vehicles fail at $25,000 plus per incident, we're going to get through that $390,000 in short order, trying to keep old pieces of equipment on the road or trying to scramble to make emergency purchases of these vehicles if we do not take this opportunity, which is, of course, a decision that's on the table. Once we burn through that $390,000, as I've said, because of our revenue situation, I don't know where it gets replenished. And when we talk about cutting to the bone, as was shown in the budget presentation, when we look at our non-public safety staff, the cuts we're making is to go down to 48 full-time employees. Norwalk has 47, so we are the second lowest among all of our peers, and that's what we're asking our staff to do to provide the services to this community. We're also in the process of doing a staffing study on both public safety, police, and fire, and again, just trying to align our staffing at levels where we are functional as a community. And again, this is not meant to be a fear tactic. I truly apologize if it comes off that way because that is not my intention. But from my professional opinion, for what it's worth, we've cut. We're trying to grow our revenues. Economic development is a wonderful tool. That's why we have Bryce right next to me. We're in a tough situation as a community. And I'll just reiterate what this list is that we're able to continue to plow our streets, provide fire protection to our community and surrounding areas, as well as provide police and protection services. So I appreciate all the questions. I think it's great from an educational standpoint, but I also want to bring back that context of the general fund operating situation we've had over the last couple of years, the changes that we're trying to implement, and now this is another piece of that to make sure that we have serviceable equipment to provide great service to the community.
And I mean, voting, I'm not a fan of getting a 20-year loan on a 4-year vehicle. I mean, you're looking at doing this 5 times then, right? Potentially. But with what you said, cutting to the bone, I think we do have other ways that we can cut the budget, which there's been discussions. And so I do, on the flip side of things, I do think there are ways that we can, work towards not having to do this every single time. And so I do think this is what's needed now, right? We're saying our vehicles are at that point. We have the proof and asking more questions and getting more information to support why it's needed, but it doesn't mean we just, oh, great, now let's stop looking at ways to make that better, right? We can still go on in the future and say, okay, is there ways to maybe not run on the full vehicle idling? Is there a backup battery? Is there all these, there's other things that can be cut in the budget too that we can look at, and those, like I said, those are discussions that we've had. So I as long as we can be clear and concise on that aspect. No, I'm not fond of it, but if we can support with reasoning of why and what's being done to make it better, because our budget has been shoddy in the past, that,
Councilmember, I do want to clarify a point. The total bond package is 20 years, but we're not paying on a 4-year piece of equipment for 20 years. We're amortizing them with their useful life. So the 4-year vehicles would be paid off over the course of 4 years. the borrowed dollars
Yes.
align with their useful life. So we would not be paying on a 20-year piece of equipment or a 4-year piece of equipment for
Yes.
20 years.
Yes, sorry, I
We
didn't
do
mean that
have-
way.
We do have these fire trucks that do have a 20-year lifespan, so we would pay on those, but
Yeah.
really we're aligning the funds with the useful life.
Yes, sorry, I should have clarified. My point was
That in our
more on-
packet,
That was what was covered at last meeting
Yeah.
when we
but
talked
there
about.
was no clear direction, like, that, Tiffany, because you kind of had my concern. There's been no official, like, we want to go forward with a 20-year amortization schedule.
That comes later. This is
Not
not
decided.
procedural right now.
So we can say that now, right? But it hasn't been decided. That could change course, right? The 20-year amortization schedule was the one that made sense to do any of this. It's also the most expensive. So you're gonna throw 50 cents on the levy to do the thing that makes the most sense. That could scare people back to a 20-year 10-cent increase that has no amortization schedule. And did we just walk ourselves right back into 2012? And I know that comes later, but you're asking me to spend $7.8 million tonight? And I'm just simply not going to, unless I already have that in place. So that's where I'm coming from, because it's not been decided, and unless it's decided and in stone.
That's where I think what we're saying, like Jackie just said, the deciding in stone comes at the next meeting. We don't, so if we say yes to this, and then we talk about it in the future, and there's no proof that we can afford this in a smart manner in the future of not doing this every 4 years on a police vehicle and finding other ways to buy a police vehicle, or, you know, whatever, that would be, I see what you're saying.
I just don't think you're walking back. You're not walking back tonight. It just, we'll be honest, you ain't walking back tonight.
I have no problem voting yes and voting no.
I mean, like, it's just, you know, it's the nature of the beast. If you sign off on 7.8, you're gonna have a really hard time walking the 7.8 back if it's not being presented in the smartest of the ways. And that's just why I'm voting no, just kind of at this point, because unless I have it, unless it's been decided and voted on, it's just not something I'm gonna do without having that amortization schedule in place, so that we are paying off the things with the 4 to 5 year life cycle first, and then those longer term things too. I mean, I would much prefer that we break things out even further to say, I would like to do a capital loan note for, you know, the fire equipment that has a, 20-year life cycle, and have that be a vote, because that can make a whole heck of a lot more sense, depending on how much debt you're going to use. So that's just where my head is for people who are like, wow, Steve's sitting here quiet. All right, there it is. And I'm just going to shut up for the rest of the night.
Is Michael still on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Michael, I listened into the council meeting that was on the 23rd of March. Did you not at that point in time talk about to what Tiffany brought up that, and to what the city manager brought up about this particular piece of bonding was to be exactly that we pay off the vehicles in 4 years for the 4-year vehicles, and then the 7-year and on down the road? Can you explain that again?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the idea of this is that the separate components by year, by kind of useful life, the alignment that Jacob was talking about, are all inside of the actual bond issuance. So, you'd have the 4-year, 5-year pieces amortized over that period of time, the 10-year pieces over 10, the longer pieces over 20 at the council's discretion. And, I think that's a responsible way to do it. It felt like that was the decision. Instead of having separate loans for all these pieces that look differently, the power of public finance and municipal bonds is we can structure this inside a single bond issue. A little bit more math on my end, but we can demonstrate it the way we broke it out preliminarily for staff that got provided to council, and make sure that aligns with the wishes of council if they so choose to proceed in that manner. Is that the answer? Does that make sense, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, so if I remember right, I was looking, I'm trying to find it here in the packet.
Yeah.
There was an amortization schedule you had there that showed the front load of that to pay off the vehicles, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Yep, correct.
Yep, it was a 20-year by component.
Yeah.
But that's not what I was
And
questioning.
that was one of the options. So Michael, don't be disingenuous by saying it was the only thing discussed.
I didn't say it was the only
You had
thing.
a
I'm
20-year,
saying that's
a
what the mayor's saying.
10-year, and you had a 5. Like, nothing was decided. Like, let's just cut the crap. Nothing was decided.
Well, I don't think that's where.
Yeah.
So,
And to
so,
be clear, you can't do a final amortization. You have to have the public hearing steps tonight to even have the ability to go and secure potential financing.
but I would like,
Can't make
there
a
was no
decision.
clear council direction. That's the problem.
Got it. I hear what you're saying.
So,
Okay.
you know, there was no clear direction from council on going forward. So when I have a constituent going, well, what's that gonna do to my levy? I don't know, we didn't decide anything. We just didn't. So I can't tell them, you know, is that going to increase 43 cents because we decided to do a 10-year, 20 cents for a 50, 10 cents for a 20-year, or the 50 cents for the 20-year amortization? I don't know because we did not give any clear direction.
But what we're doing tonight is, this really, as to what Jackie mentioned, what we're doing tonight is just passing a resolution saying that we're gonna go to that next step, which is the point that we will get to where we will actually have to make that decision. Is that correct?
Well, I think
And that's
that,
the April 20th meeting.
that's what,
Not necessarily.
yeah, not
It
necessarily,
doesn't have to be that.
No, it could be, okay, yeah.
it could be whatever.
I'm gonna call the question.
Question's been called in.
We don't have a motion and vote.
Yeah, we need a motion to vote.
So moved.
Second. Got a motion and a second to carry on for the resolution moving forward on the $3 million package for public safety. Got a motion and a second. Let's have the clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Sons?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye. Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
No.
Davis?
Aye.
Okay, next item on the agenda is a public hearing regarding the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city thereunder not to exceed $2.5 million. And I believe this is on the IWC and the TIF dollars involved, right? So this ought to come out of TIF, okay? I need a motion to enter into a public hearing.
So moved.
A motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Rabe?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Sons?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Motion carries. We are in a public hearing. Anyone wishing to talk on the items of the IWC and authorization from TIF?
I'll speak, Mayor.
Hey.
I like the no negativity. That's new since I've sat in this chamber, so I like that. Kelly Shaw, 101 Phillip Place, Indianola, Iowa. I was sitting at home watching this conversation and reading, of course, about it in Amy's newspaper, and a couple things struck me here. When I served as mayor in 2014, I inherited a similar situation. In which a council prior to me coming to office bonded for things beyond the life of their useful life. We inherited a number of ambulances, which moved on into the street department. We inherited a number of other things as well that were reallocated because of the fact that we used bond money to purchase those items. This is a real bad fiscal practice, to use things short-term, to pay for things short-term, and then still have to pay for the bond. Because my understanding, and he's no longer here, maybe Councilman Armstrong scared him away, but it's my understanding that you can't sell those items until the bond is paid off. So I raised questions about the ability for this council to pay for things, such as ambulances, which Chief Hurt, and for police cars, which Chief Hawkins talked about. I raised questions about whether or not this is really good fiscal practice to borrow money and have their useful life be less than the term of the loan. That's point number one. Point number two is that when I sat in your chair, Mayor, we had a capital improvement plan. Now, granted, I haven't been in city government for a while, so I haven't been paying attention. But from 2014 to 2020, I mean, Chief Hurt was on police service at that time. Certainly Mr. Hawkins, Chief Hawkins, sorry, Rob. Chief Hawkins was an officer at that time as well. We paid cash for those items. I might have lost track of when the CIP went away. For CIP, that's capital improvement plans, when we stopped paying cash for things. I know that the fiscal realities with the state are different now, certainly in terms of backfill, than they were when I sat in your chair, Steve. But nonetheless,
the capital improvement plan was in place. And I'm curious where that went to, when the city got away from paying cash for those various items, particularly those disposable items. The last thing I'll say really is that this does have a real true impact on debt levy. Our debt levy, again, watching from home a few minutes ago, we're not sure how that's going to impact, but we do know it will have an impact on our debt levy, which down the road, 10 years, 20 years, however long this debt is, down the road will handcuff us in terms of the ability to build libraries, in terms of our ability to build public safety. I did read the memo. It made sense when you mentioned that, we take care of these essential purposes before we take care of businesses. When I ran for mayor, one of the things we wanted to do was build a new public safety building, and that hasn't happened. So just be aware, as I'm sure you're aware, that this does have an impact on debt levy and will certainly make things like libraries and new constructions much more difficult to accomplish. As always, I want to thank you for your time. One of the things that concerns me as well in terms of this discussion is that we in the public, and I applaud your participation earlier, we in the public haven't seen how we move forward, right? We haven't seen how we get away from not bringing people back. I mean, the 7 employees that are moving on are moving on. That damages services, certainly. We haven't seen from the council how we move this forward in fiscal year 2028. And so while I thank you and want to avoid the no negativity over here, I thank you for your time, and just please keep those in the back of your mind when you think about the future of Indianola and fiscal soundness of our city.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak on this particular topic? Hearing none, I would take a motion then to close the public hearing.
Second.
Second, clerk call the roll, please.
Councilmember Ray?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis? Aye. Solons?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Motion carries, and we can do the discussion first this time. How about that? You okay with that, Allison?
I mean, yes,
Or do we need to have a motion to enter into discussion?
go for it.
Have a motion to enter into discussion.
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
You don't have
We said you last time.
I just said go for it, so that's what.
Go for the discussion. The last time
There
I was
you
just
go.
trying to
Thank
clarify where
you.
we were at. We got all really
All right,
confused.
all right, so we are in discussion then on the resolution for the IWC and using TIF dollars, 2.5 million.
Can we have a little rundown, Jake, on what that 2.5 is going to get for improvements as far as what's going into the wellness campus?
Yeah, Doug probably knows the list better than I. The big ticket items are gonna be some major reconstruction, rebuilding of the pool. That's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And the other big expense is going to be redoing all of the HVAC equipment out there. The IWC is approaching 13 years old. We've had a number of HVAC issues that we continue to experience out there. Shout out to JT and our contractors who continue to limp a lot of those units along. But this does provide an opportunity to rehash, repurpose some of those TIF dollars that are available in that area to make some investments into that facility that set us up well for another 10, 15 plus years of operations.
Yeah, Council Mayor Doug Byron, Chief of Culture and Recreation. Jake summed it really well. HVAC and mechanicals is the majority of this. Rebuilding the competition pool, the filters, the pool itself, draining it, painting it, taking care of all the shell itself, if you want to call it that. Flooring, lighting, and equipment. There's a lot of things in that building that are past their useful life cycle, and again, that we're not taping together, but we're keeping together really difficultly.
This would be paid off in 5 years, correct?
I have 2 questions. One, where are we with renegotiating the 28E agreements with Simpson College and the school district?
No farther than before.
So we were making progress and we just have not moved
This
that
doesn't
forward.
include anything that they would use in their like starter blocks or scoreboards or anything like that. This is usage. that what you're talking about?
The high school had indicated they were willing to pay something.
Right, and they do pay time for some of their lane usage.
Okay.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
We were in the process of renegotiating 20 use agreements with the high school and Simpson College because they are a big user of the pool at the IWC. And I was just wondering where we were in that process. My other question is, do we have a maintenance fund for the IWC or?
The small fund, there's 20-some thousand left in there. We were gonna use a portion of that to pay for the equipment. A lot of that was paid to the shortfall in 2 years ago for the operations of the IWC that was paid from the rent that YMCA paid in the past. So that capital fund is maybe 11 or 12,000. I don't want to give you the right exact number, but it doesn't have very much.
The percentage of the 28E agreements, does a percentage of that go to that fund, or does it just go to?
The school and Simpson paid for their use of the building up front with the
Paid it up
28E
front.
Okay.
agreement.
So really there's no, that would have been figured in already. So, okay, that answered my question.
Paid for the construction of
Yeah.
the building.
They did, but we had a goal of going back and renegotiating to try to get
For the use of it.
something because they are a big consumer of the pool and as a result, our members can't use the pool during big intervals of time.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that, yeah.
Sounds like that has stalled out. Those were my two. Thank you, Doug.
Thanks, Doug.
So, Jake or Doug, on this one then, what does this do to the TIF fund then as far as, and then what does that do to our overall bonding capacity? Does it affect, but TIF doesn't really affect our bonding capacity, am I getting correct on that?
No, the note still hits our bonding capacity,
Okay.
so it still impacts it by $2.5 million. It doesn't impact the residential taxpayer, to the best of my understanding, because we've got a separate revenue source for it, which is the tax increment financing funds.
I see Michael's on the line. Michael, can you explain any more on that?
Not as concise as Jake did.
Okay, there we go.
That falls off in 5 years.
That's separate from,
No debt levy,
that doesn't impact the
to
levy.
clarify.
Yeah,
No debt levy.
Right. Okay, is there any other questions? Not, I take a motion to institute proceedings for the IWC on 2.5 million general capital loans under TIF.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Call the roll, please.
Councilmember Sones?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Wade?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0.
We vote yes on things.
Wouldn't that feel good?
All right, we are in a public hearing for the I need a motion here in a second. Public hearing regarding a proposition to authorize a loan agreement, the issuance of notes to evidence the obligation of the city thereunder not to exceed $300,000 general obligation. Motion is second.
Second.
Motion is second. Roll.
Councilmember Lane?
Aye.
Wade?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Aye.
Sones?
Okay, this is for Park and Rec, I believe, and so we are in a public hearing. If there's anybody that wishes to speak on this issue, please come forward. Seeing none, I would take a motion then to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion is second. Clerk call the roll.
Councilmember Sones?
Aye.
Lane?
Aye.
Wade?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis? Aye.
Okay, we are in discussion then on the resolution for $300,000 on the Park and Rec. We need a little discussion on this and a little explanation.
Can we just put that back up on what Parks and Rec would be? Just so we have.
Yeah, I didn't really break it out on this one. It was for
Van.
gutters and pool slides and features and then a van. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Motion.
We have the notes here.
I wrote them up.
Yeah, so the aquatic center, it's rebuilding the yellow slide pump that recirculates water in the yellow slide. Restoring our shallow water features in the small pool and the larger pool that were installed in 2007. And then replacing the gutters around the large pool, area where people walk between the concrete from the deck to the pool. And then refurbishing the insides of the slides that were last done in 2016. And then replacing our recreation van that we use for programs that was from 2005. Yep.
I probably use the pool out of most of us with little kids, so I just want to speak a little bit on it for the fact that if you've ever gone to the pool between 1 and 3 during the summer and ICC kids are there, it is busy. It gets used a lot. I mean, we have an amazing pool, especially compared to surrounding areas. And so that's why I'm voting the way I am on this, for the fact of I understand that our pool probably, and we're going to have discussions around as a whole, because it is an older pool like we discussed at our last meeting. That's why I asked those questions around that was, it is an older pool, but obviously that's not in the near future of let's just go build a new pool tomorrow, right? So as much as I recognize we might have that down the road, these are things that our community uses all of the time. I mean, it gives me anxiety walking in and using it with my children. So, I do think these are things that they're obviously needed to upkeep it, because if we don't, it dies the next day and people are going to be impacted by that. So we do amazing things, not just outside of, we have the library that also works with the pool and does story time and all these other things. So it's not just providing a pool for people. I mean, there's other things that we do, especially like special needs. They get, their private time. And so that as someone that uses it probably the most, I just wanted to speak on that. So, and also in the van, I rode that just recently, and that poor baby, she's limping along. So, yeah. That's all.
Any other comments?
Steve,
Yes.
say one thing.
Okay.
It has to do with the rec, okay? So what is the percentage of senior citizens in Indianola? Does anyone know?
The what
Like
now?
65 and up. What is the percentage of residents in Indianola? Does anybody
I
know?
think it's just under 20%.
20%? Okay. Well, because when did you cut off the ability for them to use Silver Sneakers or any kind of gym membership through their insurance?
So when we moved from the YMCA to, maybe Doug can explain this better, but I'll try and see if I can do this right. What was happening on that, Joni, is that we were only receiving a very small portion of the total cost that each of those individual memberships would have. And so what happened with that is, if in some cases, depending on the program, and there were 3 third-party payers. Some of them, I don't know how many, but a couple of them at least had requirements that you had to attend the.
3 times.
Huh?
3 times or something?
Yeah, well, it was more than that generally, it was, but I don't know the exact number. But if you didn't go the required minimum number of times, we got nothing from that third-party payer. So in other words, they were going to the wellness campus for free. This is about, the IWC was the last item, but this is more about the outdoor pool. But the point is that with those third-party payers, what was happening when the YMCA had that facility, they were just eating the costs and then coming back to us and asking us every year to make up differences in the function of that wellness campus, because they just weren't going after and collecting those. And so when we took that over as a city, we were losing significant amounts of money because those folks were not either, number one, not attending the minimum number of times or just not going. So did I explain that properly?
Yeah, and I could add that even if people came the required number of times, the facility never got 100% of the membership.
Right.
So insurance, as we all know, with Medicaid or other things, they don't reimburse 100% of what the actual membership or bill or service that you're getting. So we were getting somewhere between 15 and 45% of that actual cost.
Yeah.
So we decided that fund, we could not offer those memberships.
But you're giving away to people who are under, on Medicaid levels though, right?
No.
No, you're not doing that anymore either? So then, did it ever come up that maybe you could like use those 3 programs and then possibly, I don't know if it's legal or not, but charge the people not as much as a membership, because the membership can be like $65. So if Silver Sneakers was gonna pay $35, well, what if you gave them a discount? Said you can use your Silver Sneakers
No,
and
it was
pay an extra.
in our agreement that we could not actually do that. That was insurance fraud.
Yeah.
We could not collect money from people to make up the difference in the membership.
Your membership is that well, it's double, isn't it?
It's depending on if you're a single or a family
They were giving you like $30 a month and your
Or less.
membership's like 65.
or less. It's 49, but they were giving less.
I'm gonna bring this back here. This really has nothing to do with this particular item on
Well,
the.
it's revenue coming in and you
Well, it's
said
not-
that everybody wants to use it.
Joni,
Well, senior citizens want to use it.
Joni, it's not about the borrowing of money for this particular project or the replacement of those kinds of things. That is for the general fund budget. And I think if you want to have a conversation with Doug here afterwards, I'm sure he'll stick around and talk to you about that.
Yeah.
But that's not on this hearing. And we had the public hearing and that question didn't come up on this. So I'm going to ask you not to interfere here with that right now. You can talk to Doug afterwards. We'll move from there. Okay. Okay. Any other comments from council on item H?
This is just for the community pool and the Parks and Rec van.
Right. I need a motion then for the resolution authorizing issuance of 300,000 or to take out additional action, issuance of not to exceed $300,000 in general obligation capital loan notes.
So moved.
Second.
Sorry, I tried.
Go ahead.
Councilmember Davis is in there somewhere.
Yeah, let her have one of them.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lane?
Aye.
Graves?
Aye.
Dolly?
Aye.
Armstrong?
No.
Davis?
Aye.
Stones?
Motion carries 5-1. We're now a resolution authorizing the issuance of $7,810,000 general obligation capital loan notes, series 2026, and levying a tax for the payment thereof. Motion and second.
Second.
Discussion?
This is just encompassing all of it, right? So, to discuss, do we have it already?
No discussion, clerk? Oh. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Okay, Councilmember.
Hold on.
We need to do that separately.
Got a question here. Go ahead.
Okay. Brad Ross, 812 NS Court. Want to make just a short, brief comment. I inherited a disastrous financial position that you all are dealing with as well back in 2014. And my comments will be brief. Borrowing is not a solution. I beg of you, you can't borrow yourself. You've heard me say that a number of times, and I would like to repeat it. You cannot borrow yourself out of debt. I would encourage you to go to zero-based budgeting and future budgets be a line item by line item in a defined time frame for borrowing, similar to what Councilman Armstrong spoke about. When you come back in a few weeks, that everything be a line item by line item with a timeline so that you can make good decisions on if you have to borrow and what that might be.
Call the roll.
Councilmember Lane?
Aye.
Graves? Aye. Dolby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
No.
Davis?
Aye.
Stones?
Motion carries 5-1. Okay, we're on to resolution approving the final plat for Kentucky Ridge Commercial Plat 1. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Tonight we have an application from Inception Group LLC requesting approval of a final plat for Kentucky Ridge Commercial Plat 1. The owner is represented by Jason Ledden with Snyder and Associates. The property is located at the intersection of East Kentucky Avenue and North Jefferson Way. It's the area outlined in red on the screen. The total area is just under 7 acres in area. The property is currently zoned planned unit development with underlying C2 highway commercial zoning. The final plat identifies here, one lot for residential development, or not residential, commercial development, and then one outlot that'll be for development in the future. The two areas are 2.86 acres and 3.93 acres. Again, outlot X, which is to the rear of the site, that'll be platted as an outlot for now, and then any future uses will be identified in the future. The Planning Commission and City Council previously approved the final plat for the Kentucky Ridge Townhomes back in 2024 and 2025. The developer is now phasing the project to plat one buildable, developable lot for sale in the near future. The Planning Commission recommended approval of this final plat at their March 24, 2026 meeting with a 5-0 vote. Street Lot A will be deeded to the city for public right-of-way purposes, which is the very western rectangle there. It's a piece of the property that's currently kind of extends out into the city right away. We will take ownership of that. A 5-foot sidewalk will be installed along the south side of East Kentucky Avenue with individual lot development. The site will be serviced with all public utilities that exist in the immediate vicinity of this intersection. Staff recommends approval of the final plat. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Bill?
Were there any concerns from planning and zoning?
Did you hear a question?
I did. There were no concerns.
No, I'm sorry. Any other questions?
I do have one other question. At one time, there was discussion about trying to fix the scooters entrance with this development. Is that still a discussion?
Yeah, that could be negotiated with future development, but it's not part of the final plat tonight, but it is under staff's understanding to negotiate that in the future.
Please do.
We'll try.
Sorry.
Good question.
Okay.
Just want to make sure it's still on the radar.
It's obviously on the radar, yes. Yeah. Any other questions?
Get stuck in that traffic light.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. We are on then to a vote. Clerk, call the roll. Do we have a motion? We need a motion then. Yes, I'm sorry.
So moved.
Ahead of myself.
It's a lot tonight.
Yeah, it is a lot tonight.
Councilmember Lane?
Aye.
Dave?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Sones?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. We're on to new business. Resolution approving a waiver of sidewalk requirement installation covenant for natural physical conditions or limitations at 815 First Avenue. And Bill, I guess you're up again.
Thank you again, Mayor, Council. This is a new one for the current CED staff, so bear with me as we try to run through this one. This is a request from Justin and Ryan Robinson, 815 West First Avenue. They're requesting a sidewalk waiver request as part of their intent to build a single-family residence and a potential future two-family residence on this lot that would be split in the future. As you can see on the map, there is no sidewalk on what would be the 900 block of East First Avenue. Those addresses are all going off of G and H Street. And then there's no sidewalk adjacent to the subject property going to the east. Those houses were built in 1930 and 1960 respectively, prior to any sidewalk installation requirements. As you can see, the nearest sidewalk on the south side of East First Avenue is just across the alley to the east there. There's an existing 4-foot sidewalk along the east side of G Street. However, that sidewalk has deficiencies in ADA compliance and current standards for width. We require 5-foot sidewalks. That sidewalk is only 4. One of the issues, and the applicants met with previous Public Works Director Eric Stevens about the potential of the feasibility of getting a sidewalk in there, as our code does require sidewalks with all new development. Because of the grade of the property, there would be extensive grading work and then an additional retaining wall to help stabilize that yard, as well as previously mentioned, there is no existing sidewalk to connect to, and that sidewalk would end up kind of just going nowhere. To make it a little bit trickier, if they were required to install that sidewalk along West First Avenue, when they tie into the sidewalk at South G Street, that would trigger the applicant to then bring that sidewalk into full compliance with ADA standards and the city standards. The problem with that is all the underground utilities that are buried in that area. And so the applicants met with IMU and got some quotes for the cost of relocating that. And those costs between IMU Fiber, IMU Electric, and then Mid-American has a line there too, would be upwards of $70,000, potentially a little bit more than that. So that's, city code does allow natural and physical limitations, and as well as that aren't created by the applicant. So, this curb and gutter on West First Street or West First Avenue, the grade has been set when the lot was platted back in 1950s or so. However, that grade is a substantial challenge to the applicant, as well as the cost to relocate any utilities that would be required to be relocated there. This went before the Planning Commission at their March 24th, 2026 meeting as well, where they recommended 5-0 to approve the sidewalk waiver request to the City Council. So staff still recommends approval of the sidewalk waiver. We're happy to take any questions.
No questions, because it was I'll give you guys props, it was very well written out for being your first one. I would never have known that was your first time doing it, because it was pretty clear and concise, so.
Yeah.
I would echo that. The sidewalk waivers are a pet peeve of mine, and so it was very easy to follow your whole path, and makes perfect sense.
Pun intended.
Or perhaps so.
Other questions?
No, you made a great case.
Yeah.
It just really doesn't make sense.
We agree.
I drove by it today and steep setting.
Kind of see the grade there. So.
Mm-hmm.
We have a motion here. No, I need a motion then to approve the right waiver.
Second.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Bill.
Bill.
Clerk, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Graves?
Aye.
Dalby?
Aye.
Armstrong?
Aye.
Davis?
Aye.
Stones?
Aye.
Motion carries 6-0. We're on to city manager's report.
Yeah, a few items. We are going to be making a distracted driving push. April is Distracted Driving Month from today through the 10th. There will be increased patrols aimed at enforcing Iowa's hands-free driving law and reminding motorists to keep their attention on the road. This local effort is part of a statewide initiative. A reminder that our spring curbside cleanup will be held on April 20th through April 24th. The hauler will pick up on the same day as your recycling materials. This will be during an off week for recycling. All items need to be curbside by 6 a.m. on the day of collection. Please visit the city's website for additional information. There is going to be some parking space closure around the Justice Center. Parking spaces on West Salem Avenue, North Howard Street, West Ashland Avenue, and North Buxton Street nearest the Warren County Justice Center will be temporarily closed beginning on Monday, April 13th. The closure will be in effect from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. to allow crews to safely operate a boom lift for work on the Justice Center. Please use caution when traveling in the area and give crews ample space to work safely. There will be about 4 to 5 spaces that will be closed at a time. The Indianola First Assembly Youth Group will host a series of running events through the community on April 18th, which will result in road closures between 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. that day. Please visit the city's website where there's a map and more detailed information on where those closures will be located. Finally, the Animal Rescue League, ARL of Iowa, and the City of Indianola are partnering to host a pet food pantry for families in need on Wednesday, April 29th from 3 to 4 p.m. at the Indianola Wellness Campus. The ARL's Pet Food Pantry aims to keep pets and their families together by helping those facing financial hardship with pet food. If you are in need of pet assistance, please visit arl-iowa.org/events to learn more about the upcoming Pet Food Pantry. This event is part of a community partnership between ARL and the city of Indianola.
Thank you. Discussion regarding future agenda items.
I have one. I would like to discuss the timing of our packets and the inclusion of presentations. I know that they've come out on Thursday for a long time, but I find it difficult to get everything read, especially this past weekend, given a holiday. It's really difficult to get everything gone through thoroughly on a holiday weekend when we get it on a Thursday. We have family things going on Friday through Sunday. And get questions to staff. I just would like to have more of a conversation around that.
I would second that. That'd be nice. I mean, I have young kids, which is not a problem. I make the time. I'm lucky and have downtime in that aspect, but it would be nice to have it, especially like, I know not every weekend is Easter weekend, but with work-life balance, I know that's been talked about recently as well. You know, it's like, okay, well, I have to review it Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because I got a full-time job. Monday, can't really review it during the day. So it would, yeah, I would not mind that if we could maybe push it up. And if it's not ready, then, you know, it just gets added to the next one, I guess. But
Yeah, I mean, even a partial packet early would be nice, but we can discuss it later. I can't imagine what all of you who have full-time jobs.
Thursday night, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday morning. I just get up early and do it.
I'm glad
I do too, but
before I am.
It's difficult when you have family things going on all weekend.
I would just like, maybe it might reduce time in me asking questions. I know sometimes I always feel bad reaching out to Jake when I'm like, I know it's Monday and we have a meeting tonight, but I have questions because I haven't been able to fully, by the time I fully digest, I think of questions, and then I feel bad that I'm like throwing questions on him last minute. So it's like, it would be nice to have a little more time to do research and maybe just in that aspect. So I wouldn't mind, but.
Council, if I may ask, are we open to moving the meeting dates off Mondays to a Tuesday or a Wednesday?
It might be part of a whole discussion.
Yeah, future agenda item.
Because we'll set like next fiscal year's dates, what, in June? So it might just tie in.
Okay.
That's a good point.
Just I know you guys put so much work into them that I'd like to put the same amount to be able to, you know, maybe research a little more. That'd be my reason for it.
Other cities, I think Norwalk's Thursday night they meet. I think, I know Carlisle meets Monday nights. Some meet on Tuesdays and Wednesdays nights, so there's options available.
It's worth having a discussion and make, you know, whatever night works best for everyone.
I think we'd have to look at all, I mean, sports schedules and everything else too. I know we got some guys here that have kids involved in it.
Yeah, I know Josh travels a lot, so
Yeah.
we can consider that.
Yeah, we gotta take those all, it'll be a good discussion.
Yeah.
There were some comments made tonight about, specifically with Ms. Hanson, about some transparency issues, and I don't know if we as a staff and as a council can kind of reflect on that a little bit. Is there some things that we can do better? And maybe, I did like her comments. She's still here, she's left.
No, she's
I did like her comments about maybe on these public hearings, maybe do put some things in there, but we can talk about those. I'd like to just talk about those in the next meeting, or not next meeting, but in a future meeting, so.
Yeah, I had a good discussion with her. It just wasn't well spelled out what was on the agenda, and
It's kind of the way we,
Public, and if we want engagement, we need to really make it clear what we're gonna be talking about.
yes, you know, many things we've done in the past isn't always the best way to do things now, so I think it's worth a discussion, so.
Yep. Continual improvement.
Okay, anything else on future agenda items? Are we moving into item C then, correct?
Yeah, it's a closed session.
Okay. We're gonna enter into a closed session in accordance with Iowa Code Section 21.5(1)J to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate only where premature disclosure the reason would be reasonably expected to increase the price the governmental body would have to pay for that property or reduce the price the governmental body would receive for that property. A motion and a second to enter into a closed session. Motion and a second. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Steve.
Hold on a second.